Positions including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jarrett Stillman and company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life. Join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and families. Light the Night will take place virtually on Thursday, November 4th from 7 to 8 p.m. More details at lightthenight.org/TN.
Football is back, and Electronic Express has what you need to make the game bigger than ever. Bring the stadium to you with the best in-home entertainment from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. Watching the game on the go? Save big on laptops, tablets, and headphones. Plus, we have all your appliance needs up to 50% off, and get up to 36 months free financing. We've got you covered this football season at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Streaming live today and every day on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry, Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Heidi from Dixon texting in. Happy Eat Cake Day. Hope you age better than Julio. Thank you, Heidi.
I feel like Julio's age
I would like to age exactly like Julio Jones. Would be great.
It'd be cool to be an elite athlete.
Yeah, it would.
In the world, in your 30s. That'd be okay. But what if Heidi got her hands on Julio's feet? How much faster would he be?
He could be moving, man. Could really be something. Let's go back to the text line. Got a text that says, I feel like the Titans have always been very vague in injury reports. When some players have gone on or IR after a game and they didn't say anything during the game. This is coming from Josh in Cookeville. Well, part of this is confusing because, and Darren was talking about this a little bit yesterday too, like if Julio Jones is hurt, we typically see that on an injury report in the middle of the game, right? I mean, A.J. Brown pretty quickly was, hey, A.J. Brown is questionable to return with a hamstring injury. And then at some point, A.J. Brown's out with a hamstring injury. He's not coming back. We didn't hear anything about Julio Jones.
And it was asked
yeah.
on the broadcast. The sideline reporter did a good job, and they were just like, nope. So, you know, again, how big, what exactly was the thing, you know? How, again, if Vrabel says guys get tight, physically tight, okay, that means something happened, but not enough to give an injury designation. Will he be on the injury report this week? But as far as the vague, I mean, look, the reason we have any injury information on the Titans is because the league mandates it. If not, there would never be a peep about anything.
No.
So make sure you understand that. And like yesterday, lost in all the Julio stuff was a very curious situation that continues. And credit to Luke Worsham for, I think, asking exactly the question as it should have been asked. And in fact, I'm trying to remember the exact question, but basically he said, okay, is Josh Reynolds, you know, is he hurt or was he just unavailable? Basically,
he said, was there an injury or was he a healthy scratch? I think is the way Luke phrased it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Was there an injury or was he a healthy scratch? He wasn't available. Okay. We know he wasn't available.
Thank you, Mike.
So, again, basically, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
I am not going to answer that question. But that's a curious situation, too. I have to assume – I don't have to, but I guess I am assuming that Josh Reynolds is still limited or adversely affected by the injuries that have been keeping him out for like a spring and a lot of camp.
But he also wasn't on the injury report
But maybe
last
not.
week.
He was on the injury report last week, and he was just one of the scratches on Sunday. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just they've realized actually, yeah, he's just not good enough to play. But I'm seeing, I'm seeing Racey McMath out there, and I understand that there's a different role for Racey McMath too in the kicking game. But I don't know. I'm looking at that receiving core and how deep they had to reach, and it seems like Josh Reynolds might have been handy.
Yeah. Well, and what about now moving forward with – look, I don't know what's going to happen with A.J. Brown, and Adam Schefter came out with a report yesterday that says A.J. Brown is week to week with a hamstring injury. To me, I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but that pretty much tells me he's not playing this week would be my guess.
Yeah, I don't even – like I would think even this week if like on Thursday he's like, I feel great. I feel 100%. I still might be like, it's a hamstring though, so let's sit one out here. And then, I mean, honestly, you could. Now, you play with fire in this league when you think this way.
Yes.
We can think this way.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily just try to cool him off for 2 weeks, go beat the Jets and Jaguars, as you should, and then bring him back for the Monday night game against the Bills when the schedule turns into just murderer's row.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I saw a lot of people on social media yesterday said there's no way that A.J. Brown should take a snap for this team until the Monday night game against Buffalo. And look, I hear you. That'd be a heck of a way to lose to the Jaguars, having A.J. Brown available and not playing him in that game.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, that'd be a good problem to have.
It would be.
So that's the thing. They'd love to get to the point where they actually have to make a tough decision just based on being careful.
Right.
I think right now sometimes those things, it's possible he won't be ready for the Buffalo game. You got to understand that. So that's something to watch. But in the meantime, okay, is Marcus Johnson coming off IR this week? I think if so, that would be very timely.
It would be.
And then Josh Reynolds. Like, is Josh Reynolds a factor? Has he been just discarded? I don't know. If he's not on the injury report not playing, and the guys who are playing are the guys who are playing, I have to wonder.
Him not being on the injury report and then not being active tells me he was a healthy scratch. I mean, that's what it tells me.
Well, I agree. I mean, I guess it's almost like the Julio situation where it's like, well, it's not an injury that rose to the level of being reported to the sideline report or, officially reported. So, yeah, Julio Jones, questionable, whatever. But I just have to suspect that when you have Achilles issues that, well, you're not as explosive.
Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Steve from Clarksville texting in. You got to look at it from Vrabel's side. Jones was kept out for a tight/cramped muscle to be used as a last resort, or would you rather see him play every down and risk a serious injury and be out for 2 to 6 weeks or more?
Oh, I don't question the decision to do it.
No.
It's just why. If I was Vrabel in that spot and something tightened up on Julio Jones and I'm ahead, and yeah, I'm looking at this like, well, it's about running the ball and controlling the clock. I totally understand it. Now there are a couple plays in there where you're in an obvious passing situation and you're like, number 2 would be nice out there, but still, I mean, I don't fault the decision. And I heard this whole like, well, Carson Wentz played, so it was desperation for them. How could you not play Julio? Well, that's why, because then you're going to risk something when you're ahead. You have a chance to win the game without him. I mean, it's a gamble, but it obviously paid off. I probably would have made the same decision because you do have to think. You have to think long term. That's just not load management to me.
Exactly.
That's just being careful with a slight injury, or I don't know, a pre-injury. Anything tightens up on someone, and boy, that term is just going to get worn out.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Actually, Dennis had a nice tweet out of the tighten up thing, but he spelled it, with a GH.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But anything gets tight on someone, and I think that's the smart move.
Let's go back to the text line. Mark from Paris texting in. Honestly, do coaches in college and the NFL really ever tell you the truth? Heupel never really told us what exactly was wrong with Milton. All we know is it was lower extremity, nothing specific. This is coming from Mark in Paris.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between college and NFL is that
Yeah.
the NFL mandates injury reports. And I'll tell you this, as we move into this era now where gambling is just absolutely everywhere.
Yep.
I am very interested to see if we're at some point going to see some sort of formalized injury report for college football as well. But in the NFL, obviously, for a long time now, it's been mandated. And again, if that was not the case, we would have no idea from Vrabel about any of this stuff. So Heupel's doing what college coaches do, and some go beyond what he does.
Oh, yeah. I got a text that says, so I'm curious if a player has something lingering, like a hamstring or something, do the Titans have to put them on the injury report, or can they just keep them inactive? So that would be kind of going right into the Josh Reynolds situation.
Well,
there.
if you're on the active roster, then you have to be on the injury report.
Yeah.
So, like when they put guys on IR, for example, they don't specify. They don't have to. So they didn't have to specify what the injuries were with various players who went on injured reserve. But if you're on the active roster, those injury reports, you are supposed to report anything that anybody has. Now, certain teams have had fun. Of course, remember the Patriots would put Brady on every week just for no reason. Yeah. What was it? What was his supposed injury?
Oh, he had a couple of different ones. I think one was like his shoulder.
But like for a while, they were just trolling everyone, right? He
Yeah.
wasn't hurt, but he was still on the report. Yeah. So, and rest assured, there have been players who have not gone on the report.
Yes,
I mean that's no doubt about it. But yes, the rules are active roster, practice. You have a report, and then on Friday you have to come out with your designations.
Well, to that point,
questionable, et cetera, et cetera.
To that point, apparently Tom Brady played all last year with a sprained knee. And was never on the injury report.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, look, and I mean, it is. I've heard this from people, from coaches and players. Well, in hockey, in hockey, it's very much, lower body, upper body. Guys like, you know what? I specify what I have, and guess what guys start doing? They start going for what I have. So I understand that, but it's the rules.
Yeah. ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listen in tomorrow night as Nashville SC takes on Orlando at Nissan Stadium. The pregame starts at 7:15 and the match begins at 7:30. We'll continue the conversation on the Titans and the wide receiver room. What are they going to do moving forward in the short term, potentially without A.J. Brown? All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Unlimited audio streaming is yours with Audible Plus. Enjoy thousands of select Audible originals, audiobooks, podcasts, and more. Sign up for a free Audible Plus trial at audible.com.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health, if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or invigoratehealthtn.com.
We blow the doors off of every long-held kept industry secret, every secret that other stores don't want you to know. At Genesis, we're excited to share with you.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper talking about how Genesis reveals all of the long-held secrets of the jewelry industry.
We love being completely transparent. We teach you the things other stores do not want you to know. We make you a really dangerous customer for every other store in town.
So, before you buy a diamond anywhere, come get Get the real scoop on diamonds at Genesis. You have nothing to lose.
Nothing gives us more pleasure than to teach every person that comes in, not just about diamonds, but how to buy diamonds like a professional.
Genesis Diamonds, teaching you to maximize value and get her the biggest, highest quality diamond at a no-nonsense price.
It's that light that goes off in my guests' eyes when they have that aha moment, when they not only see the difference at Genesis Diamonds, but they can feel it.
Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Porth, Program Director of 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9. We're currently looking for our next great group of interns, and if you have any interest in radio, it's a great way to get your foot in the door. Just simply send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
Saturday night, the MTSU Blue Raiders continue their Conference USA slate when they welcome Marshall to Murfreesboro.
Caught, touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
Coverage begins at 5
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Down with the hamstring, and then he had the drops the previous week. He was on social media just kind of saying, acknowledging that it's been a tough couple of weeks. As a coach, like putting those emotional deposits, like how do you coach him through this time period, and help him understand that it will get better?
Well, I have a great relationship with AJ. I feel like that's grown over the time that he's been here. We have some great conversations. We've put a lot of trust in each other as far as those things that are discussed in those conversations. So we'll obviously keep those between AJ and I, but, I'm confident that, he'll do his best to get back out there and be the player and the person that, that we've come to expect. And, we all go through things throughout the course of a season. It's a long season, and we all deal with a lot. And I'm confident that, everybody, including AJ, will, be able to weather some of those.
That was head coach Mike Vrabel yesterday at his press conference talking about A.J. Brown. And as we said earlier in the show, Joe, Adam Schefter reporting that A.J. Brown week to week with a hamstring injury. And we talked about it yesterday on the show. Anytime you start to talk about soft tissue injuries, those are concerning in the fact that maybe they can linger around if you try to come back too quickly. So going to be interesting to see how the Titans handle life without A.J. Brown. I would assume that he's probably not going to play this week, given the week-to-week designation on the hamstring. And anytime you start talking about a hamstring, very rarely is it just a one-week injury. You want to be as careful and as cautious with that as possible if you're the Titans. So the question is, if A.J. Brown can't go and Julio Jones was experiencing some tightening up on the sideline on Sunday, what are the Titans going to do at wide receiver? Look, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, other than the fumble, I thought played pretty well in that game against Indianapolis. Obviously, Cam Batson got some snaps. Chester Rogers has been out there. We'll see about Marcus Johnson. Is there a possibility he could come back this week? I think that's going to be interesting to keep your eye on this week. But if it's no A.J. Brown, and who knows about Julio and what his status is going to be throughout this week, what do the Titans do at wide receiver if A.J. Brown's not there and Julio may be limited in some capacity?
Yeah, well, that's the big thing. If Julio is okay, then I think they're fine.
You can get a lot of targets.
Yeah, you have a premier receiver out there. There's a lot to it too. What about Ferkser?
Yeah,
Ferkser is not on IR, so he's giving it a go during these weeks to play. But is he going to be part of it? Because that would obviously help the passing game. Marcus Johnson is a big storyline for sure. That would definitely ease a lot of the concern if he were to come back. Again, like if you had Johnson and Reynolds was like active and useful, then I think you'd feel fine. But based on the scratch Sunday, I don't know. Westbrook-Ikhine, hey, we can make all the jokes we want to make, but the guy has stepped up, and he's become a pretty solid, fourth, fifth receiver. Now is he
number one, number two receiver?
Well,
maybe.
Right now. His rate, like I watched Racing McMath the other day get some snaps. I I don't think he's necessarily ready to do a lot in an NFL game. But look, Cam Batson, the guy still makes plays.
Yeah.
He does. So like people asking about, going to make a trade or something. I don't think you trade assets when you have this many players at that position and you have some injuries. I mean, you have to lean on your depth. You have to lean on your depth just about every spot in the course of an NFL season. I still think it's not bad. Again, Batson's out there. Chester Rogers, you got to catch the ball.
Got to hold the ball.
You can't let these passes pop up into the air. That's 2 weeks in a row with that. In Westbrook-Akina, you can't fumble. But, was Westbrook-Akina a net plus or a net negative? To me, you have to be an absolute negative Nelly to not look at his entire game leading the team in catches and yards with a touchdown, with the blocking, with a couple really good grabs in there, and then the fumble, and say that it was a net minus. It wasn't, but you got to clean that up. Chester Rogers got to clean his stuff up. I still think I think you can get through, and basically, especially against the Jets, I think you can get through. You got 22 still.
By the way, 22 just won the Angry Runs on Good Morning Football
Did
this
he
week
win that?
for his hit against Darius Leonard.
Sending Darius Leonard into
Clarksville.
Yeah, Gallatin.
Yeah. Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe from Maryland texting in. I mentioned something yesterday about making a trade if Julio, AJ, and Reynolds are out. I got destroyed for the comment online.
Good.
So are people happy with Westbrook, Rodgers, and Batson? That's not good.
I'm glad you got destroyed, Joe from Maryland. I won't destroy you, but I just went through it. It's like, look, it's not ideal.
Sure.
But, Batson can make plays for you. Rodgers can make plays for you. I will say, if this Julio thing actually is a keeping him out of games thing, I guess you can look around, but I just don't. Why are you trading assets right now? And what are you getting back? You went and signed Josh Reynolds.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about Josh Reynolds right now. Because I continue to think his speed could really be an asset, but he's
got to have speed. Yep. Josh from Jackson, Tennessee texting in. Did the defensive line look good, or was the Colts' offensive line bad? Simmons is a monster, and there's always gas in his tank.
Well, look, Quentin Nelson goes out in the first half.
Yep.
You're talking about their best offensive lineman. Braden Smith, not there. Eric Fisher, who gave up 2 sacks on his own, is still coming back from an Achilles.
Yep.
That's why when I look at the Colts, I just don't buy that they're a bad football team. They are a banged-up football team right now. I think that they should have leaned more on their running backs, frankly, in the game, and less on, hey, Carson, just stand there and find somebody, please, quickly, because you're about to get hit 10 times. So I think the Titans did a pretty good job. But in short yardage, even without Quentin Nelson in short yardage, I think the Colts got it every time, didn't they?
Yep.
I think there's still some concern and some need for better play from those guys.
Heidi from Dixon texting back in. A friend of mine, Casey in Benton County, says y'all's show is the reason he started opening up to watching sports. Just want to thank you for doing a great job. Thank you, Heidi. Welcome, Casey.
Wait, our Heidi?
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Heidi. Is she being nice because it's your birthday?
Maybe so. But as far as the Titans, he wonders why people are so content with them being mediocre so often. So
why people are content with them being mediocre. Yeah.
Well, I think that's changing this year. And, we talked about the reaction of Taylor Lewan in Game 1 against Arizona. And, yes, that game was so bad. But I think part of what made that game so bad and why the fans were as upset as they were is the expectations for this team. That was a sold-out crowd. That was a very Titans-heavy crowd in that game, which, by the way, I thought the crowd was pretty good again on Sunday against Indianapolis.
It was very similar.
We were wondering how would the fans respond this year. I think back-to-back really good showings from the fans, even in Week 1 where there was not much to be excited about in that game. But, look, I think the expectations are very high for this team, and that's why I think we saw the reaction that we did in Week 1.
It's not like people were thrilled with the first-round playoff loss. They won the division last year, and I didn't hear you always – look, there's always some portions of a fan base that are just like, you know what, they tried, and they're our guys, and I have a jersey of Derrick Henry, so I like them. I'm happy. and there's people that are going to be upset about everything.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, I look at the other day, it was far from a perfect game. They made a bunch of mistakes. It could have been an easier game, but I think that was a pretty good win. At this point, in this league, there aren't many. I mean, how many wins are bad? They've really. Now, granted, if you go out, I guess, this week and you have to beat the Jets like 9-6 or something, then it's worth complaining about that.
Sure.
But there aren't many bad wins in this league. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the expectations are very different this year. I think the fans, those two crowds, tell you something, and also what the ratings from the I'm interested to see this week, but the ratings from the Seattle game are like the biggest in 10 years. So, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of eyeballs on this team right now. And I think with that does come more complaining when things go on. Everybody had every right to be furious, to go get all excited and hyped up and go watch them play the way they did in week 1. But I think they've responded. We'll see.
I can't hear the words tighten up or hyped up this year without going immediately two places in my mind, either Josh Heupel or the Titans.
Got to really work on the vocab,
Just that's what these phrases do, man. I got hyped up on Saturday after that 175-yard touchdown pass. That ended quickly. We'll get more into the balls coming up here in just a few minutes. JP from Spring Hill texting in, we don't need to trade anything, just sign Des Bryant.
There you go. That's one of the favorite over the years. There was the Des Bryant. There was Antonio Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Who else? Who else has been out there that people wanted?
Why am I blanking on his name, but he's about to sign with the Chiefs?
Oh, Josh Gordon?
Yeah, Josh Gordon, who's on, suspended every year that somehow continues to find his way back in the league. Yeah, he's going to Kansas City.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, they are 1-2. They need some help.
They do.
They need some weapons on offense.
That's right.
Well, look, in all seriousness, I hope he's, just like Isaiah Wilson, I hope Josh Gordon has got it figured out. Got some stuff going on. Has had some stuff going on. But yeah, there's another one. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody out there on the receiver wire that they're going to be looking for any sort of trade. But I'm also thinking that Julio Jones is going to be playing still. I think he's going to play this week.
Josh from Jackson texting in. Love y'all's show. Thank you, Josh. Got to give my Cardinals a shout-out, going for 17 tonight. Have you seen this? The Cardinals, 16 wins in a row in Major League Baseball. They're going for number 17 tonight.
That is wild.
I don't know. Is that popular here? Is it not popular here? There's a lot of Cardinals fans here. There's obviously more Braves, I think. A lot of Reds fans.
I feel like the Cardinals are the number 2.
It could be.
That's just my totally informal.
Poll?
Yeah, but there's a lot of Cardinals fans here for sure. Yeah. 17
in a row, that'd be something. 16 in baseball. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I freaking hate the Cardinals.
They always do this, though. Like, they just find a way to
it's an incredible
get in the
organization.
playoffs. Yep.
Yeah, it really is. They're one of the great consistent, why do some organizations have consistent winning, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the St. Louis Cardinals in baseball?
Although that one may be coming to an end.
Well, the Steelers, they may have a stinker of a year on the way. Yes. But,
they're in for a world of hurt on Sunday.
With a hiccup here and there, they figure it out because from top down, you've got people who know what they're doing.
When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on the Titans, including a couple of things that Mike Vrabel was clearly frustrated about yesterday at his press conference. More on that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. More sunshine in store for us today. Temperatures will work their way from the 70s to the middle 80s when it's all said and done this afternoon. Storms back the second half of this week.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in and headed in. Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Football is back, and Electronic Express has what you need to make the game bigger than ever. Bring the stadium to you with the best in-home entertainment from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. Watching the game on the go? Save big on laptops, tablets, and headphones. Plus, we have all your appliance needs up to 50% off, and get up to 36 months free financing. We've got you covered this football season at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader, supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461. The C10 Nationals are here. Friday, October 1st and Saturday, October 2nd at Nashville Superspeedway. The C10 Nationals, one of the largest GM truck shows in the world. Don't miss the autocross, the burnout contest, the dyno, along with vendor midway, swap meet, cruise the track, and more. Cap it all off with a huge award ceremony. Spectator tickets are just $20 per day. Trucks can register at the gate day of the event. Visit c10nationals.com. That's c10nationals.com for more information.
Hey, this is Jared, the owner of MTGRT.com. If your mortgage rate is not in the 2s, then you need to call me now. We are locking in clients in the 2s with no closing costs. That's right, you heard it right. Locking in clients in the 2s with no closing costs. Text me on my personal cell at 615-969-2257 or fill out a few pieces of information on our website, MTGRT.com. MTGRT.com is the proud sponsor of Paul Feinbaum, heard on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
First interception by Ryan. I know it didn't sound like you're obviously too pleased about it yesterday. I wonder if you got a chance to look at it.
Still not as pleased with it.
Did you get a chance to look at it again on tape? And
I'd seen it once. I didn't need to watch it twice.
Were there, like Ryan mentioned, there was like kind of a miscommunication?
There you go.
Okay.
The guy throwing the ball says it was miscommunication. Guess who am I to tell you any differently?
You said you gave him a little bit of grief about not sliding, and what's the line there where you want to be?
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel yesterday. Still pretty upset about Ryan Tannehill's first interception on Sunday against Indianapolis. I love the back and forth between him and Glennon. Vrabel says something, Glennon, sure. He immediately goes into a different question.
Sure, Mike. Yeah, but
okay.
Mike.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay then.
It's
awesome. It's always good.
By the way,
stuff.
we'll have John Glennon on the show today at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And, so that one, that was kind of confirmation. I mean, first of all, Vrabel said after the game he threw it into a pep rally, which is probably one of Vrabel's best quotes ever. And then, Tannehill, there's a miscommunication, all that stuff. There was, those guys bumped into each other, but you still don't throw the ball.
No.
I mean, that was like a weird – obviously they bumped into each other, so I think McNichols ran his thing wrong. But regardless, they bumped into each other. It was Keystone Cops running the routes.
Yep.
And then Tannehill's like pumps because obviously he thought Hudson would be at a spot, and then he just stands there and still throws it. I mean, that was a bad – so you got to put that on Tannehill. You have to. So clearly, Vrabel basically laughing at the idea that would be evaluated as like, a miscommunication on someone else. Like, don't throw that ball. So that's one thing from yesterday that I'm going to clearly take away. And the other is when he was asked about, now this is a little bit more of me reading into things, but, he was asked about Lewan, and the quote, here's the entire quote. He was okay. There were some good things, some plays he'd like to have back, I'm sure. Now, this is me reading into it, but I bet you Vrabel didn't love the Lewan thing.
Probably not.
I mean, it's a big win for because again, it's a huge win for the team. Whether you like how they played or not, whatever you think of the Colts, I think the Colts are going to be good before the year's over, but like they're banged up. But it's a big win for the team, big moment, and we're talking about the booing stuff 2 weeks later. Now, again, I am not going to discourage anyone from being honest or human or talking about things.
Talk about it, yeah.
I'm for it, but I also understand why, like, of Rabel in particular, would be like, why is this a thing right now?
Well, it's funny you brought that up because one of the things I thought about while we were playing that audio yesterday, and the Titans, by the way, I really enjoy these videos the Titans come out with of Rabel in the locker room after the game. Like,
yep,
it's pretty cool stuff. But the first thing I thought about when I heard that Taylor Lewan stuff, as far as it relates to Vrabel, was I thought to the Week 2 video after they win in Seattle. Vrabel ends his speech by saying, talk about the team, put the team first, all this other stuff as they go out into the media. And, I'm sure that's Vrabel's message every time when they're about to go talk to the media is, don't make it about yourself, talk about the team, all this jazz. And then to hear that from Taylor Lewan, which, again, I was all for Taylor Lewan being honest and talking about these things, but I could see where Vrabel probably would not be a fan of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I got a text from Jared. Thanks for waking up early, Jared. I was hoping to get text from you in the first hour. Odell Beckham Jr. was apparently – do you remember this? The people were we were talking about receivers that the fans were clamoring for. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Was Odell – I don't remember that being a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
I guess when he was sort of – yeah, I guess that's right because he was sort of on the outs in New York and everything. Like so trade for Odell. Yeah.
Pre-A.J. Brown, Titans fans been clamoring for a lot of receivers.
Desperately, desperately get everyone. Yeah, right. So, speaking of Jared real fast, I mean, he said the Titans sucked and Tannehill was awful Sunday. So that was an interesting take yesterday by Jared.
Well, look, it wasn't Tannehill's best game ever, but he made some pretty big plays in that game.
Tannehill, that pick was bad. I've seen Aaron Rodgers throw. You certainly know what I'm talking about. I didn't see. I guess Patrick Mahomes threw a no-look pick yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't excuse anything, but like the greatest quarterbacks in the game, period, throw awful picks at times. Tannehill didn't have big numbers. I thought he was really good Sunday. I thought he was overall really good. Yeah, okay, there's another throw that was risky. I didn't think it was that close to being picked up, but it's a throw you probably don't make. And other than that, again, you have practice squad guys on the field with you. Does that not matter? I think it matters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not your fault that the ball popped off Chester Rogers. It's not your fault Westbrook-Ikhine fumbled, and then you threw those other 3 touchdown passes. And again, the McNichols TD pass was better than people think it was.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, texting in. I like where we sit. As banged up as we are to be sitting 2-1, winning against Seattle in their house after being down 16 and then beating the division rival Colts, the role that's falling in our lap is sleeper team. We're loaded with talent. The division is weak halfway through the season. Hopefully we're completely healthy again. I mean, look at Kansas City. Most people are writing them off. Come on, where do you think they're going to be after 17 games? Lots of fair weather fans for the Titans. They just live in the now, and it leaves me thinking of a line from The Wizard of Oz. If I only had a brain. This coming from Dustin in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
That's a long text, Dustin. Who the hell's writing off the Chiefs right now?
I haven't seen much of that.
Come on.
I am surprised they're 1-2.
But
they got some problems. Their defense is not good.
I agree with the overall sentiment, though, Dustin. I mean, it's I'd say right now there's a lot for the Titans to clean up, but there's a lot of things that are working in their favor. I mean, it comes down to, is Bud Dupree going to get that knee okay and help you? Well, are you going to get guys like Evans back and Amani Hooker back? I mean, the health stuff is a big concern right now.
Well, and the other big concern is the turnover situation going to turn around, or is this going to be what it is for the Titans this year? I mean, it's 7-1 right now. You can't keep turning the ball over as much as you are. But to Vrabel's point, he said this yesterday, and he said it multiple times. You got to start forcing some more turnovers too. We talked about that heading into the season. As awful as that Titans defense was last year, and they were bad, they did have some moments where they forced some big turnovers. And, the turnover margin was really good for this team, quite frankly, because the offense just didn't turn the ball over all that much. But that's got to change with this defense. They've played, I think, well, especially for the last 6 quarters. You got to find a way to start forcing some more turnovers.
It's weird because it was a bad defense last year, that actually force more turnovers than you would think for such a feeble pass rush.
Yeah.
And all the other numbers sort of, you're right, a lot of it was the offense not turning over, but they've had a pretty good, I have to look at the rankings. They were like at least middle of the pack in forcing turnovers. And this defense has been better and is not doing it at all. And I agree. There's no way you sustain winning at this rate of turnover margin. You get the next 2 weeks, you probably have a chance to maybe
close that
gap.
gap.
Little Zach Wilson, little Trevor Lawrence, little rookie quarterback double play for you. So, take advantage of that.
Alex texting in, Dupree looking like another Clowney. Bud Dupree looking like another Clowney. By the way,
Clowney,
2
sacks. 2 sacks.
Good gracious.
Although apparently, Matt Nagy said, "Hey, Justin, we have 3 plays in the playbook. We're going to let you run, and no leaving the pocket. Just stay in the pocket.
Stay there, buddy.
And let's have some deep drops and stay in the pocket the whole game. Okay,
Talk about somebody
that's
under
our
some
game
heat
plan
right now, man.
So that I can tell everybody, see, that's why Andy Dalton's my starter.
Yeah.
That's. But yeah, Clowney 2 sacks. It's a little early to go Clowney on Dupree. Let's again remember December ACL tear. So when they signed him, we were talking on this show. Is it like, does he miss the first month of the season?
Yeah.
Does he is it mid-season? Is it kind of like, remember Jeffrey Simmons as a rookie now? Of course, he tore his ACL, I think, in January working out.
Yep.
But, it was about mid-season or so, or a little bit after, right, when he finally – so it is early in the clock from getting back from an ACL. You got to keep that in mind. And this is a big week. But I would say, you get a few games and he doesn't contribute, and that's going to be a talking point. And, look, it's going to go back to John Robinson, signing injured players, drafting injured players. You get value out of it, but then it's not good value if they aren't good players.
Play silly underdog picks today. Pick the 3 football underdog teams you think will win this week. For a chance to win, go to thegamenashville.com for more details and to play. Silly underdog picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. When we come back, we'll get into the Tennessee Vols. We'll continue to break down their loss against Florida and what that means for Tennessee as they move ahead in SEC play for the rest of this season. That's coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
I just want to go on, get it out there, and we'll move on. This may have been the worst football weekend I've ever experienced in my life.
The voice of the fan.
Taylor and Bud Dupree, I just think both guys have not gotten over the mental part with the knee yet.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at the FanDuel Sportsbook app, my official sportsbook app. After 20 years on the same sideline, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick meet this weekend as opponents. It's the GOAT versus the GOAT, and you can be a part of the epic showdown with unbelievable odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can win $125 on a $5 bet if either team scores a touchdown. That's right, 25-1 odds on any touchdown at any time during the Tampa Bay-New England game. Feel pretty good about Brady and the Bucs. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook app using the promo code JGM when you make your first bet for the history books. Don't forget promo code JGM so they know that I sent you. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only, $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $125. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line. 1-800-889-9789.
Alice Cooper, the godfather of shock rock, is back. Alice Cooper, live in concert. With special guest, former Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley. This Sunday at Ascend Amphitheater. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The concert return of the year with legendary rocker Alice Cooper. Part of the Journey's concert series.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Apex Trade-In event running now through October 31st. Bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 50% trade-in bonus towards new Apex 21 irons. The Apex, Apex Pro, and Apex DCB are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Swing by and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
From curriculum-based literacy programs and sport leagues to college tours and workforce readiness tracks, Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provide a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Zines First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
1025 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be joined to begin the 8 o'clock hour by John Glennon from SI.com. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Our man Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports joining us at 9 o'clock for our weekly conversation with him with everything going on around the NFL. And then David Ubbett from The Athletic at 9:30 to talk a little college football. We'll get to the Vols. We'll get to exactly what the college football landscape looks like right now. How many elite teams are there? It's an interesting question out there right now in college football. Even some of the blue blood teams that we're used to seeing, not looking so great. Clemson hasn't looked good. Ohio State hasn't looked all that good. Oklahoma hasn't looked all that good either. So interesting conversation coming up with David Ubbett at 9:30 as well. And speaking of college football, the Tennessee Vols in action over the weekend. They fall 38-14 in the swamp at the hands of the Florida Gators. And, Joe, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. The final score ends up being right around where I thought it would be in terms of a 24-point margin of victory for Florida. But Tennessee did some good things, especially in the first half, to hang in there and to have some explosive plays offensively as well. It was yet another example of, I thought, a pretty good game plan by Josh Heupel, pretty good play calling by Josh Heupel as well. But at the end of the day, some mistakes made in terms of execution, not catching passes that should be caught, missing on some throws, and then defensively they just got worn down at the end of that game. And I just think the depth right now is not where Tennessee needs it to be.
Yeah, I think the defense kind of broke. I was actually quite impressed with the defense in the first half.
Yeah.
Making plays, getting some stops. I mean, that's a tough team to defend, especially if Emory Jones is going to, make key throws on 3rd and long, as he did a few times. And then all the other things they do and the success they have, the different ways they can run the ball, it's a really good team. So I think you're right. The depth caught up with them. It really hurt up front with Cooper Mays. I think that's problematic because they really could use him. But it's like this week. It's a huge game against Missouri, but I guess I'd be surprised if he'd be ready based on how he's limping around Saturday. I mean, you can't fault the kid for trying to play in the Florida game,
No.
But you could really use him for some of these big SEC games that you have a chance to win. But it's the same thing, I think, with the Vols. It's like I like what they're doing. I like the positions people are being put in to make plays. Got to make more of them. You cannot You cannot squander opportunities like that. Jimmy Callaway's going to make a ton of plays for Tennessee before he's done, I'm sure. That was a tough one to not make. You're talking 20. The thing about that game is it turns out to be a blowout and all that stuff, but you just don't know psychologically what happens if you make that game. As you stay close with a team like that, the deeper a game goes, the more pressure's on them, and they know it. The more they know the pressure's on them. If you make that 24-21, midway through the third quarter, or whatever it was, 10 minutes left in the third or whatever. Yep. I don't know. I think Florida wins the game. They're better. But that was one of those things, like the longer you can hang in, make something like coaches talk about, make it a fourth quarter game. Yeah. That really does change the psychology on the sideline of the heavy favorite, especially the heavy favorite at home, I think. So, but whatever, it didn't happen. And you cannot squander those plays, and you got more margin for error now here moving forward, but there's too many errors overall for this team.
Well, and now how do you respond from here? Because it's one loss in the SEC, and I think everybody expected that Tennessee was going to lose this game against Florida. But to me, I look at the schedule, and these next two games that they have, I'm sorry, I think they should win both of these games. I don't think Missouri is all that good, and South Carolina is not good. I can see that. They're not good. So I think these are two games that Tennessee could win, should win, and it's funny. I look at FanDuel Sportsbook. Missouri is a 3.5-point favorite against Tennessee heading into this matchup. But look, I think Tennessee should be able to hang in there, compete, and win these games the next couple of weeks. And then it goes back to you got Ole Miss coming in, you got Alabama that you got to go to, Kentucky on the schedule, Georgia. The meat of this SEC schedule is rough for Tennessee, and I don't see a whole lot of wins during that stretch. But to me, if you're going to have a season that you can build on and be proud of, if you're Josh Heupel and company, and start to maybe change some of the noise that's been around your program, I think you got to win the next 2 weeks. These are two winnable games on the schedule for the Vols.
I watched a fair amount of the Boston College Missouri game. There's a variety of other games that were streamable during the wonderful Vanderbilt Georgia game. Great game, by the way. It came down to, Boston College just running the ball to tie the game, and eventually they win. And Bazelak, who I do think is a good quarterback for Missouri, throws a fade in overtime. I think it was like first down, too. He just went for it, and it was just underthrown and a pick, and that was that. He is good. They will move the ball. I think a lot of these games are going to involve some big scores. Like, I think Missouri will move the ball and score on the Vols, but absolutely. I think the Vols, and, Tyon Evans, man.
He's a weapon, man.
Get him the ball. And it's a nice tandem. Jabari Small, it's a nice tandem. Obviously, this week, and there's not going to be a single word, and Josh Heupel has closed up practice again.
Yeah. That didn't take very long.
A big question. Yeah, I know. I want to retract my column about Josh Heupel's good media access. But now it's Hendon Hooker. And is he going to be okay? Is he going to be fully mobile? That's a big part of his game. If not, is it Joe Milton time again?
I don't know, man.
You're down on Milton. I feel like Vols fans are just out on Milton.
At some point, you got to complete a pass. He came in the other day, and I realized he's still hurt. And I think Josh Heupel said as much after the game. Really didn't want Joe Milton to get in there. But you're 2 of 8. Like, at some point, the arm talent, it's just not good enough. You got to be able to complete a pass, and he can't do it.
That does seem to be an important part of the job.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's
look, I still
it's interesting.
I hear everything that you're saying, and I believe it too. Like, the upside, I think, is there with Joe Milton, and I think if he got anywhere near that, we're not talking about a quarterback competition. I think his talent is miles beyond the other two, but he just can't complete a forward pass, and you can't win that way.
Yeah. Other than not being able to complete a forward pass,
it looks real good out there. Yeah, man.
Now it's it's just going to be interesting. I do feel like you throw him in there late in that game, and I think if there's any adrenaline for him at all, I mean, it is going to be a high 103-mile-an-hour fastball that buzzes I mean, it's, and that's what it looked like. Like, man, calm down, But, yeah, at some point you got to harness it. I think he's in a good spot to be developed and to put it all together. But, like some people, it's kind of like some people really good basketball players in high school or whatever, and they get to the college level, and it's like, God, their shooting form is just, it's never going to be a consistent shot, and it's hard to change your shooting form when you get to a certain age.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's the case for Joe Milton. He looks great throwing a football, but can you actually turn him into an accurate passer? I don't know.
In the words of Pat Narduzzi, you look at the other side of the field, and he looks beautiful out there. Thank you, Pat.
Oh, man. Friend of the show.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Josh from Jackson texting in. Y'all might disagree, but I loved how physical the defensive line was against that really good line from the Gators. You got to put two halves together. And to Josh's point, I was kind of blown away by that in the first half of that game. I thought that line held up really well and made some plays. They weren't stifling by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought they played well. And then as the game went on, you can just tell they were getting worn down in that game. But, I think we've learned that the starters on this Tennessee team, they can play. And they've got, I think, a lot of ability to them, and I think some things that you can be excited about moving forward. You just, in this conference, you're going to need depth, and they just don't have it right now.
Well, that is basically receiver and D-line are the two spots where they actually – they have some good reserves.
Yep.
They don't have much at other spots. But I am a little concerned on the injury front, by the way.
Yep.
Now, he walked off, but Elijah Simmons was clutching that left knee.
Did not look good.
As he went down. I mean, that would be a crushing loss. He is absolutely their most talented defensive lineman. So that's one to watch and not hear about this week and not find anything out about and, see what happens Saturday at Missouri. But that's a big one. But I agree. I thought they were physical and actually imposed their will for a lot of that first half. And I just think in general the defense I feel like it's actually been better than last year.
Agreed.
Overall, which is crazy when you think of the talent they lost from last year. And also when you think of how Jeremy Pruitt was supposed to be this defensive mastermind. But I like what Tim Banks is doing with what he has.
We'll continue the conversation on the Vols when we come back. Got more of your thoughts to get to on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Hockey is back in Smashville. I'm heading out to a little training camp practice today. Looking forward to that. And make sure you don't miss out on the 6 home games scheduled during the month of October. The opponents include the Kraken, the Hurricanes, the Kings, the Rangers, the Sharks, and the Islanders. And remember, Nashville is set to host the 2022 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series outdoor game between the Preds and the two-time defending Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning on February 26th, 2022 at Nissan Stadium. So now is the best time to become a season ticket citizen. More information on Predators tickets can be found by going to NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Once again, that's NashvillePredators.com/tickets.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robby and Rexrode.
Limping off the field. I can confirm he was limping off the field.
Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Wouldn't say it deserves a gold star.
We want people to play along.
This is what's crazy.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I want to go last. Can I go last? Sure.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
Mississippi is the perfect place to find yourself while getting lost in everything nature has to offer. Start planning your trip today at visitmississippi.org/goodtimes. Mississippi. Good times are close by.
Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel is one of Nashville's favorite places to dine, serving up their award-winning menu items again. Kitchen Notes is renowned for their Southern-inspired dishes with a contemporary twist. Their breakfast features the popular Music City omelets, sourdough pancakes, cast iron waffles, plus everyone knows that their Sunday brunches are the talk of the town. Lunch menu items include smoked prime rib, chicken hash, and the Kitchen Notes legendary shrimp and grits. Kitchen Notes is open Thursday through Sunday at 7 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sports book that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Up to 200% sign-up bonus. Support the station and use code GAME.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
The Titans head up to the Big Apple this weekend to take on the New York Jets Sunday at noon. Join us for a fun pregame show and watch party at the Corner Pub's Brentwood location at Old Hickory Boulevard. 102.5's NFL pregame show will be there live starting at 9:30 a.m. And the show features Jarrett Stillman, former Titans receiver Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. 102.5's NFL pregame show is brought to you in part by E2 Roofing, Social Furniture, TriStar Moving, and Screwball Whiskey. Contest rules for 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9, including on-air, online, and text-based contests, are available by visiting the contest rules page at thegamenashville.com. Good luck and thanks for listening to 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Happy birthday to you. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, presented by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
What was that?
It was the Minions' Happy Birthday song.
Oh, the Minions. Okay, yes. I like it.
You'd be surprised, just searching Happy Birthday on YouTube, you get some really interesting versions.
Sure
Marilyn Monroe singing to JFK.
Yeah.
Find that one on there.
I had Beatles earlier, but then it wasn't actually a Happy Birthday song. They were just like, it's your day. Yeah, it was just not Happy Birthday.
No, the birthday song. They say it's your birthday. That one?
Oh, that's a thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well,
It's a jam.
That was it.
That'd be perfect for Robby.
Sure it would be.
Hey, so Gators beat reporter Thomas Goldkamp. Here's a, I don't know if you saw this. So Dan Mullen, this is his tweet. Dan Mullen today admitted the Gators basically rested key guys who weren't 100% against the Vols.
That's great.
Adding insult to injury, defensive coordinator Todd Grantham just praised Kentucky's offense and said, it's a much more difficult challenge than, say, last week.
Awesome.
Todd Grantham, by the way, is he's not very likable. Let me just put it
Hey, I like him after that comment.
Well, a lot of Tennessee fans are irate on Saturday night about the Dan Mullen got up there and said, well, this team, it's dramatically improved from a year ago. We're very well coached. I saw a lot of improvement from Tennessee from last year to this year, and everybody was like, so that's what this has come to. The Florida coach is patting us on the head.
Right.
Hey, you guys look a whole lot better than you did a year ago when we just beat you by 24.
That could be taking his shade on Pruitt, though, too.
Well, I'm sure part of it is.
Part of it is. But, yeah, part of it is also, good job, guys. I know we paid you $1.5 million to come for this guaranteed game, but you really gave us a game. Good job, Tennessee. By the way, have you seen all the maybe we should have Blake Topmeyer on this week. Did you see all the uproar from Blake and others about the Army thing?
No.
Well, Blake had a column yesterday about how it's, I'm trying to think of the right word. Dishonorable, I think, was his word, that Tennessee canceled the Army game.
Oh.
So, a lot of
it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah. I got to say, I understand, there is value, in playing the service academies beyond the football aspect of it. But if you come in as an AD and you see that game and you can get out of it and make it work financially, I'd do it too. Sorry, but I would do it too.
I don't really blame Danny White all that much for that one.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Josh from Lebanon texting in. Tennessee fans are now realizing why Milton transferred out of Michigan. You got to be able to complete a forward pass. Hail to the victors. This coming from Josh from Lebanon. There you go.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, look, there are some things that we've seen that some Michigan fans complained about last year for sure. People around that program still thought Milton was going to beat out Cade McNamara this year. And by the way, they have one of the worst passing offenses in the country right now. Now, they've been able to run at will and blow out teams, but now last week they very nearly lost that Rutgers game, unable to just convert a third down. Rutgers completely controlled them in the second half. And again, that's
about
Michigan.
Harbaugh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with him, it's kind of like the Pruitt syndrome in terms of you can't constantly be changing your assistants and think you're going to have any kind of – there's a balance between continuity. The only coach who can do that is Saban, and he just brings in, okay, let's bring in this superstar. You got a head coaching job, but you got to have some continuity in your staff. I think that's a problem. But in terms of the Milton conversation, I think he could be Michigan's quarterback right now. But yeah, you gotta harness it, and you gotta. I thought that against Pittsburgh, other than the deep shots, I thought everything else looked great from him. Now, you gotta hit the deep. You gotta hit wide open guys going down the field, and if you can't figure out a way to put touch on the ball,
it's a problem.
Then it's just it's never going to happen for you. But there's a lot of material there. No one who knows football looks at Joe Milton and says, forget about that. I mean, there's a good quarterback in there. It's a question of whether Josh Heupel can mold it.
Mark texting in, I think Milton can be very good. He does need more touch, and you can't throw 103-mile-an-hour fastballs all the time, of course. Jared said that JG is better. Can you guys set him straight?
Oh, God. We're going to –
did Jared say that?
I don't know. I mean, he's texting me. So now he's texting me about how he loves Todd Grantham. And also about Tannehill's awful turnovers, which apparently are all his fault. If Jared said that JG is better than Milton, look, in terms of talent, it's not close.
No.
Now, in terms of performance, well, JG did have some good games. I know Tennessee fans don't want to acknowledge that, but I actually watched him at Missouri a couple years ago. Light them up and make every big throw you need to make in that game. Not a great team, but it was still a big win for that Vols team trying to make a bowl game, and they did. They went on a hot streak, and he played really well. He wasn't all terrible. He was terrible last year in a terrible offense with terrible coaching. But Milton is a much more talented quarterback than JG.
Well, at this point, I mean, Harrison Bailey, I guess he's just going to finish out the year here, but Harrison Bailey probably not going to be in this program much longer, would be my guess. I mean, and part of it, and I think we saw a little bit of it in the Tennessee Tech game, he looked pretty nervous throwing the ball in that game, did not throw the ball overly well, but part of it is just in this offense, I think having a mobile quarterback is maybe not a necessity, but you need to be able to move in this offense, and he just really can't move all that well.
Now, they haven't always had the guys who can move, but I think certainly it's a bonus. It's either that or you got to be elite throwing the ball, and I don't think he's demonstrated enough of that. I think if Harrison Bailey came out and ran the offense the way he plays and was, basically as good as his recruiting profile suggests, which often doesn't work out, then I think he'd have a chance. But I agree, that missing element of the game, if you're not way better in the other part of the game, then you're number 3.
Well, look, I know there's still Tennessee fans that want to see him play. I mean, I trust Josh Heupel to make a competent decision at quarterback. And quite frankly, I watched Harrison Bailey play twice. I went back and rewatched him play in the Tennessee Tech game. He wasn't very good. And if you're not very good against Tennessee Tech, I question how good you're going to be against Kentucky or Ole Miss or South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see with Harrison Bailey wherever he is. He may end up being a really good quarterback. But again, like Garantano. I mean, how many of these – he was a huge recruit, like a high 4-star. And, again, he's definitely better than Tennessee fans are going to largely remember him. But he didn't live up to that. And Bailey may not live up to his recruiting profile. It happens all the time. Now, this week, if Hooker's hurt Milton's still not all the way back. I mean, it's possible you could see Harrison Bailey in that game. I don't think that would be good for Tennessee if you do.
Well, I said it yesterday, regardless of who the quarterback is, they've got to find a way to get Jalen Hyatt more involved. And, look, I think we know the skill set that he has, and I do question with Jalen Hyatt, and one thing that I think he's going to have to get a whole lot better at is making contested catches and making catches in traffic, because we've just not seen much of that from Jalen Hyatt. A lot of what he's done has been, here's this go route, go out, run everybody, and that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But in order for him to continue to develop, he's going to have to start to learn how to make some of these contested catches. But he's basically been a non-factor so far this year, and I still feel pretty good about the receiving core. It's important for them to get him going, because I still think when everything's said and done, he is going to be their best option at wide receiver, and it's important that they get him going starting this Saturday against Missouri.
Yeah, he's an important guy. I agree. I think he's the best all-around talent, and he does. You need to become an all-around, well-rounded receiver. And look, like a guy like Callaway, I mean, you think about that TD he had against Pittsburgh. He's talented. You make a play like that, though, the other night, and, I mean, it's like you got to have guys out there you can depend on. I'd still like to see Velus Jones.
Yep.
Get the ball more. I mean, they have a lot of options there. I'd like to see the group sort of refined a little bit and maybe condensed a little bit, so that I think you get better play. I don't know, but that may be contrary to the philosophy too. And look, if you can keep coming in waves and you're like, hey, the twos are just as good, that's how that's a part of a tempo offense really working well. But I still feel like some main guys would be good, and Hyatt should lead the pack.
He should, and, I want to give him some grace because, he was injured.
Yeah.
And, a part of that I think is coming back from injury and trying to reestablish yourself. But, look, for them to win and, to get to 6 wins potentially this year, they're going to need him. Like, he's going to have to be a guy that's a weapon, because he has a speed element that not many other guys have. I mean, Jimmy Callaway, he's fast, man. He can run. But
Peyton's pretty fast, too.
Yeah, they got some speed at wide receiver. But Jalen Hyatt, I think, look, he can be a special player. He can end up playing on Sundays someday, and they've got to find a way to get him more involved. So we'll see if they can do that starting on Saturday against Missouri. And I said it yesterday. I'll say it again right now. They should win that game on Saturday against Missouri. I don't care what the line says. It's -3.5 for Missouri right now. Tennessee ought to win this game coming up on Saturday.
If I'm right about home field, that means Vegas views them a half point better than Tennessee.
Yeah.
Basically a pick. This is a huge game for Josh Heupel.
Yes.
To keep people with this team this year.
Yeah. I don't think there's any question about it. We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. When we come back, training camp underway for the Nashville Predators, and I saw some interesting odds leveling out some expectations for the Predators yesterday on the FanDuel Sportsbook. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Indeed believes less is more. That's why they have powerful tools to help you source, screen, and hire quality people faster. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Football is back, and Electronic Express has what you need to make the game bigger than ever. Bring the stadium to you with the best in-home entertainment from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. Watching the game on the go? Save big on laptops, tablets, and headphones. Plus, we have all your appliance needs up to 50% off, and get up to 36 months free financing. We've got you covered this football season at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Your home value is way up this year, and with mortgage rates back to all-time lows, it's a great time to call Loan Pronto. Refinance now and get cash out of your home's equity. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Loan Pronto can refinance your loan at a super low rate. They can pay the closing costs for you and get you a bunch of cash out. How does $40,000 or $50,000 sound? Don't just sit on that home's new value. Use it. Use it to pay off credit cards. Use it to consolidate other debt. Get rid of PMI. Use IT to make your home even more valuable with that home improvement project you've been dreaming about. Loan Pronto's all-digital platform makes it fast and easy. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Ask about the Loan Pronto zero-cost cash-out refi. LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Zero cost option not available on all loans.
If you missed the latest from Darren, Donick, and Chase.
All this time we've been saying this, like the coordinator
what changed?
Well, it's why that was never in the arsenal in the past. Like why did it take till now to get Derrick Henry catching the ball in the backfield? Isn't that weird?
Is it Todd Downing, which certainly could be, that he's incorporated that, or is it,
is it something he's worked on?
Because Derrick has said,
he's a special player. Yeah, right. He's a special player
and he has said he wanted to work on it.
Exactly. Like Michael Jordan, when he came into the NBA, was not a great three-point shooter, but he worked on that. And then by the end of his career, he could do that. Like you keep trying to add facets of to your game if you're a great player.
What is it, Darren, that you always say that you have to do? Adapt and evolve. I mean, that's what Derrick Henry's doing.
I think those are the words.
He's not a one-trick pony.
Tune in Darren, Donick, and Chase weekdays 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Do you want to win a pair of tickets to see the Preds take on the Sharks at Bridgestone Arena on Tuesday, October the 26th? Well, if you do, head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the 102.5 The Game YouTube page, and you'll enter for your chance to see the Preds take on the Sharks. One winner will be chosen on Monday, October the 4th. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Visit their brand new Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. We are streaming live today and every day on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, and our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I appreciate all the birthday wishes on Twitter, on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Michelle coming back with some birthday jams as well. This is a classic one. They play these at the Preds games all the time. It's good stuff.
Well, that's the Beatles.
Yeah.
They rock.
they do rock. That is what they're doing there in that
That's
clip,
right.
is rocking. Speaking of the Nashville Predators, training camp is underway. They played 2 on Sunday down in Sunrise, Florida. Lost both of those games, but a pretty young lineup for the Predators on Sunday in both of those games. If you missed it, Philip Tomasino, really nice move in the shootout period that they have, and unfortunately for him, put one right off the post, but the hands are there for Philip Tomasino. Look, I could be wrong. I've been wrong about training camp battles before. I'd be pretty surprised if he's not on this team by the time the opening night roster comes around. I just think they are very interested to see what they have with him.
I mean, wouldn't that be a massive disappointment if he isn't on the team?
I think so.
I mean, just in terms of, fan expectations of this season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most exciting things maybe for fans about this season is to see what the Preds have in him. I think the problem with that is I think the expectations are probably going to be a little bit unrealistic for some people.
Yeah.
But
if he doesn't put up 60 points, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Get him out.
Bust. Yeah. But sure seems like a guy who, I mean, they need more skilled guys who can score some goals and create some offense.
Well, the expectations for the Predators outwardly are not going to be very high this year, and we've talked about that a little bit. The season predictions are starting to come out a little bit. You'll see a little bit more of those in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, as the NHL season is set to get underway. A lot of people are going to have the Predators in 7th place in the Central Division. That's just going to be what it is. So I did some digging yesterday on the FanDuel Sportsbook to get some preseason odds for the Nashville Predators. And there are a few interesting ones that are on the table. Roman Josi is at plus 1,500 to win the Norris Trophy, which is 6th best in the league. So he is tied with Aaron Ekblad of the Florida Panthers for the 6th best odds in the league to win the Norris Trophy, which is pretty good. Roman Josi is still going to be a pretty good player this year. UC Saros plus 2,200 to win the Vezina. That's 13th among goalies.
Wow.
Plus 2,200.
That's a little low.
That's a little
low. Should have been a finalist last year. So that's I feel like a lot of these, even with Yossi, I mean, that's fine, but I feel like a lot of these individual expectations are traced to the overall expectation that the team won't be good.
Yes.
Right?
Predators
That's the only thing I can come up with on Saros.
Predators are plus 4,100 to win the Central Division. So that is the 7th best odds in the division. So, look, I said you're going to hear a lot of people picking the Preds to finish in 7th. Not only do they have the 7th best odds to win the Central Division, but the odds take a pretty big jump downward when you get past the top 5. So you've got Colorado, obviously, the overwhelming favorite to win the Central, minus 220. Minnesota is second at plus 700. Dallas at third at plus 900. St. Louis and Winnipeg, both at plus 1,500. The Blackhawks at plus 2,000. And after the Blackhawks, it goes from plus 2,000 to plus 4,100 for the Predators.
Wow.
And then the Coyotes are at plus 10,000. And they're going to be the worst team in the league. They're going to be awful.
But, I mean, you have to, like, why would there be such a gap between, like, the Chicago expectations and the Nashville expectations?
Right. I mean, look.
And obviously, they've added some talent.
Yeah. I mean, Seth Jones is in. Marc-Andre Fleury is in. Jonathan Toews is back. They got some good young pieces there. So, look, I think there's a chance Chicago could be decent this year. I think they could be pretty good. But that's a massive gap. Plus 2,000 for the Blackhawks, plus 4,100 from the Predators. That tells me that the odds makers don't think the Predators are going to be very good at all.
No, I would agree. And so this would be the least regarded Nashville Predators team around the league at large. You know, even I think these odds tell the story too. But just overall, since when?
I would say probably since Barry Trotz's last year. The year before that.
The 13-14 year?
13-14.
The 13-14 year.
The year before that, they were awful. They were decimated by injuries. They were really young. And then Pecorine got hurt the first part of that year and missed like 50 games. And they just didn't make the playoffs. Had a good run towards the end, but really ever since then, the expectations, I mean, you had Peter Laviolette come in his first year. I don't think people expected them to be as good as they were. But ever since then, the expectations have been relatively high. And this one's not. I mean, you look at the Central Division, or excuse me, the odds to win the Cup are plus 8,500 to win the Cup. Only the Red Wings, the Senators, the Coyotes, the Ducks, the Blue Jackets, and the Sabres have worse odds in the league.
Dang.
So that gives you a pretty good picture of what the odds makers think the Predators are going to be this year. And look, I get it. It makes sense to me in some ways. Like, this is going to be a very young team. The veteran talent that they do have, a lot of which has underperformed, I think leaves you questioning what this team is going to look like as they hit in. So I'm not saying the odds makers are necessarily wrong. I'll go on and tell you, I don't have very high expectations for this Predators team, and we'll come out with our season predictions here in a couple of weeks. But this is there's a lot of people very down on the Predators heading into this season.
Yeah, and I think this also says, right or wrong, that people don't look at their turnaround as like some kind of sustainable, new identity that they're going to be able to carry in, because that's obviously the hope. If you're in the building, if you're a sunshine blower as a fan, the hope is that that's what they are. The first half of the season is not what they are. But then they figured it out, and they're going to ride one of the best goalies in the league and some good young talent. And that fourth line, the most revered fourth line in the league, and be a lot better than people think. Most people don't buy that.
No. Ryan Poor texting in the Preds over-under for points in most books is at 83.5. That's in the bottom third of the league. That's a low number. I mean, typically to make the playoffs, it's somewhere around 93, 94. Somewhere is typically in an 82-game season. That's typically what the point total looks like to get in. And some years it's lower than that. Some years it's higher than that. But the average is usually 93, 94. 83.5 is low. I mean, you're talking about a team at that point that's really not all that close to making the playoffs.
Dom Lucizin, my coworker, whose name I believe I just said correctly.
I think you did too.
Had a pretty extensive preview at the Athletic on the Preds, and one line in there is, "This season feels like the end," and essentially the end of trying to, with this group, be competitive as opposed to just going all out rebuild.
Yeah,
I will say that to me the Forsberg situation,
it's got a lot to
will help dictate that.
Yep. Ryan in Nashville on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Vegas is also probably looking at the coaching, and Hines is proven to be a draft lottery coach and not a winner. John Hines remains a very divisive topic among Predators fans. There are some Predators fans that really like John Hines and the job that he did a year ago, getting this team turned around, kind of reestablishing what their identity was, making the run towards the playoffs, all these things. And then there are some Predators fans that really, from the moment he was hired, were very underwhelmed with the hire, and I'm not sure there's much he can do outside of a deep playoff run to really sway the opinion one way or the other. It's amazing to me kind of how divisive John Hines has been in a very short time here. He's still not been here all that long.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the track record compared to other coaches out there who have won a lot in the league is going to make you – I think it's fair to be like, okay, how good is this guy? That's totally fair.
Yep.
What I don't think is fair is saying this guy's terrible, like based on a limited track record. And what we've seen here, like if he doesn't get credit for last year and how it turned around, if that's as some claim, oh, that's just the players, well then I guess why have a coach? Like, if you're going to be judged when things go poorly in that job, which is totally fair, and you should be.
Sure.
I just don't understand how you could possibly look at how that all went and say, nah, it was all Saros, or the players had some great players-only meetings, or whatever. I mean, he has to get credit for that. Does that mean he's a coach who can take you to great things? I think the problem for him in trying to demonstrate that is he doesn't have a team right now that could do that anyway. So the most realistic outcome, if it does start going the wrong way, is that the coach eventually gets fired, because that's what happens in this league like no other league.
Yep.
The coach is scapegoated in this league like no other. But I think it's foolish of people to look at what he's done so far and just say there's just no chance. He's bad coach. I think you got to look at last year and give him some credit for it.
We'll continue the conversation on the Predators, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. What's this lineup going to look like on opening night for the Predators? We'll get more into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. More sunshine in store for us today. Temperatures will work their way from the 70s to the middle 80s when it's all said and done this afternoon. Storms back the second half of this week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
In the concert event of a lifetime, come experience the dynamic energy of one of the most accomplished musicians of our time, Carlos Santana. Blessings and Miracles Tour 2021. This Wednesday, First Bank Amphitheater. Take a trip through the hits from Woodstock to Supernatural and a backwards flip into the unknown. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use. Only down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Bring everything up to speed with the Novatech Managed Office. Novatech's Managed Office portfolio consists of 4 key pillars that provide a unique, holistic approach to business technology, bringing together hardware, software, and services for IT, print, cloud, and security. Novatech's mantra: get it all, get it right, and get it now. From a technology partner you can trust. Let Novatech manage your business technology so you can focus on what matters most, your business. Learn more about the Novatech Managed Office and request a free Office X-ray technology assessment at novatech.net. That's novatech.net.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Jared Stillman.
I cannot believe they picked this guy I've never heard of.
And company.
You're forced to play cap gymnastics, which makes it a little bit more difficult for picking up other guys.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Robby and Rexrode is on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
We're vibing, Robby. Vibing. Vibing. We're vibing, Robby.
Oh, yeah, the Preds are vibing. Training camp is back here in Nashville. I'll be heading out there today to Centennial Sports Specs to watch a little Preds action after I get off the show here.
Birthday vibing at the rink for you.
That's right. It's going to be a good time. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Talking Predators. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Paul texting in. There is zero excitement about this Preds roster as presently constituted. They are not built to do anything excited. This is coming from Paul on the text line.
What percentage of the Nashville Predators fan base feels exactly that way? I want an exact number.
Zero excitement? I don't know how many think there's zero excitement.
Well,
I buy into this Preds fan base right now is, I don't know what the right word is. They are waiting in heavy anticipation in terms of what is the next step. I think that what a lot of Predators fans have told me, and what kind of the feedback I've gotten is, we don't really know what the vision is. Are they still a team that wants to compete and try to go for it? Are they totally in rebuild mode? Because the vibe I get from Predators fans, well, yeah, well, the vibe I get from Predators fans is you can't really be in both, and that's what's going to be interesting to find out this year. Because if this team is right there on the edge and some younger players take a step, then all of a sudden I think the trajectory can change pretty quickly. And there's an underrated part of that. Like, they got a lot of cap space, and cap space is a weapon in today's NHL. If the young players come in this year and they play really well and you're excited about the direction you're trending with those guys, all of a sudden you can be a player either at the deadline or maybe more likely next summer in free agency, and then you can start to maybe change what the perception of your team looks like pretty quickly that way. If it takes a while and some young guys come in and play well, other young guys maybe take some time to really develop, which honestly to me is probably the more likely scenario of not every young guy coming in and hitting at the same time, then I think it is a very interesting question of, okay, exactly where is this team and how long is it going to take to be truly competitive again?
Yeah. And to go back to your top storyline that we were talking about last week, hey, if Duchesne and Johansson come out this year like gangbusters, Well, they could be better than everybody thinks. I mean, right now, the expectations are so low, I have to think, because the expectations for them have become low.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I've not seen one Predators fan out there, not one, that says to themselves, you know what, I think Johansson Duchesne might have a good year this year. I've not seen one. And, do I expect Johansson and Duchesne to get back to putting up career numbers this year? No, I don't. But I'm not going to totally dismiss it out of the realm of possibility that they're both a lot better this year. Look, maybe they're not. And I understand any Predators fan out there that says, yeah, I've heard that before. Why don't you show me?
I understand pessimism.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not a 100% certainty that they're going to keep playing like this.
Yeah. So
if they don't, what does that mean?
Well, that's an interesting question, because if they don't play better, I don't really know what you do, because they're still going to be a part of your team as you move forward here. With those contracts, with the salary cap being what it is, I could be wrong, and David Poyle's pulled off some deals before, but the idea of trading either one of those two, to me, it's not realistic. Like I just don't see how that happens unless you're retaining a ton of salary. And I don't think that's something the Predators want to do. Now, what is interesting, and I've started to think about this a little bit, if it goes poorly again with Matt Duchesne this year, and that's 3 years where it's just not gone well, and it's pretty clear at that point that it's not going to work and that the contract is going to be a big problem, do you even entertain the idea of a buyout at that point if you're the Predators?
Oh, God.
And then you would have Turris on the books and Duchesne on the books.
Okay,
I don't know. But to me, last year, that was not realistic. Like, you can't buy out Matt Duchesne after 2 years.
I don't.
Could you do it after 3?
Could you?
I think that'd be a tough pill to swallow.
You are really strapped. You're paying a lot of money for people to not play for you now between those two if you do that.
I know.
Well, and another thing is
this is a big year for him, obviously.
Yeah. Well, it's a big year for him, and here's another thing as we talk about Hines. I don't know if it's quite as black and white as like Jared has said it. Like basically, Hines and Duchesne hate each other. That might be a little strong, but I think there's clearly been some conflict, some misunderstanding / lack of excitement about each other that's been pretty clearly expressed, right?
Yes.
Or about decisions made about stretches of play from Duchesne, as everybody should be unhappy with how he's played in stretches. So if it does go poorly and the buyout is not an option, there's another area where like the coach ends up getting, it's like, well, I need a new coach. You're stuck with this guy. He's not working in this system. Different coach, different system might get it out, get more out of him. Although I think if there's another way down year for Matt Duchesne, again, I think you have to look at his whole career. Even though he's not old, he's old in NHL years.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes in this league. It's like, okay, you're paying this guy. You are saddled with this guy. He doesn't like the coach. New coach.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, how much of an opportunity is he going to be given? That to me is a really interesting question heading into this year because, I've said it. I think that's the most important job. I know the young guys, you got to develop them. The most important job to me in the short term for John Hines, you got to figure out the way to make Johansson and Duchesne work. And if you stick him on the third line, like I just, maybe he's playing with Philip Tomasino on the third line, and it's a different conversation then. And maybe that's the perfect situation for him and Tomasino. I don't know. I tend to think they're going to start with Forsberg, Johansson, and Duchesne together and just see what happens.
They should.
I would not be opposed to the idea of saying, you know what, leave those guys together for the first 10 games. No matter what happens, if they can stay healthy, leave them together for 10 games and say, look, this is your shot, man. If you want to stay together, if y'all want to get a lot of playing time, I'm giving you every opportunity to go out there and prove yourselves. And if you don't, then you just move on and you start making decisions for the younger guys at that point. But I would not be opposed to just starting those three together and letting them roll for the first 10 games.
No, I think they should absolutely do that. You got the most likely path to any kind of relevance is still those guys playing better, and it's not impossible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I get why no one would be super optimistic about it happening, but I don't believe that it's impossible.
Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got a texter that says, I'm pumped for this season. I want to see an angry Philip Forsberg dominant this year. Interested in seeing Fabro recover as well. Look, I think a lot of people are expecting a big year from Philip Forsberg in terms of it's a contract year, and we see a lot of players. They bring it in a contract year. Look, I think Philip Forsberg is going to be the same Philip Forsberg we've seen. The question with Philip Forsberg is, can he stay healthy? If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a very productive player. But that's been a problem the last few years, is staying healthy and completing a season.
Yeah, and then it's just is it going to be all year with this contract? Does he need to see a month of, okay, I can see where this is going somewhere good?
Yep.
Is it purely just about what kind of contract, or just, hey, is it already in his mind, hey, I'm going to get on the open market next summer and maximize it? Who knows? I mean, there's so much. But if there's nothing resolved there, then obviously that becomes a big storyline. Because, look, I mean, even if some other things are going well, but you can't get him signed, I think you're still leaning toward rebuild, right? Like, I mean, he kind of helps answer that question with what he wants to do.
And yet,
and Ekholm's still
by
not
the way,
signed.
here we are.
Yeah.
Ekholm is still not signed. Again, we've just kind of, and it's not just us, everybody's just kind of brushed that off as, Ekholm will sign.
Right.
It's September 28th, and he is not signed. I just had to look at the date, and it's my birthday. Didn't know what date it was. It's good stuff.
It's okay. It's understandable.
I got a text that says, I have to agree with Paul from earlier on the text line. I'm not really excited for this season like I have been in the past. This season gives me flashbacks to being an Atlanta Thrashers fan.
Oh,
yikes.
Okay. Winnipeg Jets got pretty good.
They did. Adam in Portland texting in, look at Duchesne's history. Was literally on tape in an Uber years ago ripping his coach for practice techniques. This is the kind of dude he is. Never should have invested in a dude who's all about himself.
Yeah, that's overboard.
Yeah, I don't buy the all about himself stuff. Like, usually when you see that, teammates don't really like you. I've not really gotten the sense that Matt Duchesne's unpopular in that locker room.
Right. I think he frustrates the coaches.
Yeah.
But, I mean, can anybody blame them for that? I think that's overboard. It's like Subban. Subban destroying the locker room. It's overboard. Another thing that I don't buy, and we're going to hear about this from certain people. It's just going to be annoying as hell. Like this whole, Johansson and Duchesne are mad at David Poile because he left them unexposed. It's professional sports. They understand that they are in professional sports and that they didn't perform. No one cares. They're trying to keep themselves in the league.
If they don't understand why they were exposed, you got a huge problem.
Just wait, though. It's going to be talked about constantly this year.
Yeah.
Pred's Facebook might need to be shut down.
Let's go back to the text line. Christian in Nashville texting in. It's the same pessimism with the Preds in the preseason that was optimistic for the Titans in the preseason. All media discussions that people listen to. This is coming from Christian in Nashville.
Huh?
I guess he's comparing the pessimism for the Preds to the optimism for the Titans.
Okay, so he's right. Yeah, I don't know if it's quite a complete, contrast, but it is very different right now. And of course, there are a lot of people who are in both fan bases, but very different in trajectory. Although, even with the Titans, of course, it's the NFL too. You never look too far down the road.
Right.
The Titans very much feels like this is it, kind of like the Preds in 17, 18 range. Like, this is it right now. Don't blow it.
Speaking of the Titans, we'll be joined coming up next by John Glennon from SI.com. Looking forward to that conversation coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
I don't know how you could watch that performance and think that there was anything positive about it.
The voice of the fan.
The performance was a D-.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social.
It's football season, and Social Furniture has the best lifetime guarantee motion furniture on sale now. Their sofas with recliners are push-button electric and wall-away with all colors to choose from for your comfort. Sectionals from $9.99, recliners from $3.99. Sectionals with Chase Lounge and all-electric recliners from $19.99. Social Furniture will have you football ready with all furniture that are plus leather, microfiber, and there's no waiting, and take home your new motion furniture today or with their same-day fine furniture delivery. Social Furniture has no down payments and no interest. You don't want to miss out on their best lifetime guarantee motion furniture sale going on now.
Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stiltman sent you.
Ever heard of a cold-like virus called RSV? RSV can cause complications in older adults, including pneumonia. The Evergreen study is assessing if an investigational study vaccine can prevent RSV disease caused by a respiratory syncytial virus in older adults. If you're 60 years of age or older, you may be able to join the Evergreen study. Visit clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV to learn more. That's clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, Craneworks. The Craneworks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give Craneworks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call Craneworks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Football is here, Titans fans. With 5 locations in Middle Tennessee, it's easy to find the perfect corner pub to meet up with friends and family to cheer on your favorite team. Head downtown to watch your Titans play on the 50-foot LED screen, or brunch it up this Sunday in Brentwood, where 102.5 The Game will be live on location with Jared and friends. Stop into any location for game day food and drink specials. Corner Pub, your local family-friendly sports bar, located in Brentwood, downtown Nashville, Bellevue, Cool Springs, and Franklin. The neighborhood meets at the corner. Contest rules for 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9, including on-air, online, and text-based contests, are available by visiting the contest rules page at thegamenashville.com. Good luck, and thanks for listening to 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezevic here with you on this Tuesday morning. Talking a little Titans, and to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend John Glennon from SI.com. Johnny, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
I am doing well. How are you guys this morning?
We're doing great. Appreciate you taking time to join us. John, what stands out to you the most about the Titans through 3 games? Obviously a big win against Indy on Sunday to improve to 2-1. What's captured your attention about this Titans team thus far?
Honestly, I think it's probably one of the things anyway that stands out is kind of the strides that this defense has made since the opener. I think when a lot of us saw that opener against Arizona, it was kind of a nightmare, and it was sort of like, okay, everything that might have looked good in training camp and in the preseason games, that's kind of all gone by the board, and this is a defense that is really struggling. It's just like, 2020 all over again. But, I think we've seen, the defense make some real strides the last couple of weeks. We're seeing a better third down defense. We're seeing a better defense getting after the quarterback. And even when you just look at the NFL rankings now, this is kind of a middle-of-the-road defense. And I think that's what the Titans have, stepped up to. Last year was such a weak, struggling defense, and they've made strides already. And, honestly, as I say, after that first week, that's a bit of a surprise to me.
Okay. Now let's get to the meat of this. I want the Pro Football Focus grade for every player on the team to date, please.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Let me rattle this off. I got about 43 strong for you, pal.
Like, do you have an endorsement deal with Pro Football Focus?
No, I do not have a deal with.
You love Pro Football Focus. Actually, that is one of our favorite things Monday morning. Here comes Glennon with the PFF grades, baby.
Yeah, every morning.
Sure. I think it's good stuff. Obviously, I like it, but I mean, it's not as if it's the Bible. I put them out there. I think those people do well with their grades. I think they do a lot of research, a lot of film. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. At least it's something that people can talk about, toss around. I get a lot of feedback on that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think they suck. But regardless, the real meat of my question, John, is Julio Jones.
Yep.
Just give me your entire takeaway from all that we've heard and all that we've seen since he didn't play in the fourth quarter. Like, what is the correct way to look at this situation?
Yeah, well, I think the school of thought that, hey, Mike Vrabel knew they were going to beat the Colts or felt pretty confident they were going to beat the Colts and was just kind of resting him for down the roads. I think that's a bad road to take right there. Here is the background, the way I see it. Julio Jones had played in the first game of the season. He played 52nd game of the season, 66 snaps, okay? He had practiced full all week, not on the injury report whatsoever. And you're looking at a one-score game against a division rival in the fourth quarter. So to me, if you're saying that Mike Vrabel was just resting Julio Jones at that point and it was load management, I can't agree with that. To me, it was more along the lines of what Mike Vrabel indicated anyway yesterday when he said that Julio tightened up during the game because there's just no way in my mind. Again, this is a one-score game against a division rival in the fourth quarter, and A.J. Brown, is not in the game. So you're not resting Julio Jones at that point. I think it was something that happened during the game. I don't believe it was a significant injury, but certainly something that put him on the sideline for an entire quarter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we were talking about this earlier, but like if you understand Mike Vrabel's absolute aversion to talking about injuries, I mean, he said yesterday, this is the least I'll talk about injuries. I think he meant this is the most I'll talk about injuries.
Yeah,
but the point being,
least, most, whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah. But the point being, like, okay, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit this time because let's face it. I mean, this thought ran through my head. Oh man, what's going on with Julio and Vrabel? Oh boy,
yeah, absolutely.
What's happening? He's mad at him for something. Like, well, you know what? I'll show you that we'll win with Racing McMath and Nick Westbrook-Akina. How about that, Julio? Like that. And I mean, I think Vrabel was effusive yesterday in trying to put that fire out. I mean, and there's still going to be people who want to go down the conspiracy road with that. Although, can you imagine if that was the case and then he said what he said? Like, what's Julio thinking right now, right? I mean, like, It just makes it worse. But that's what people, I think, are missing. That he does not do this. But the thing that's weird to me still is, like, then why the heck did the sideline reporter not get the indication like they're supposed to do when anyone goes out of a game? Or why didn't we get, whatever, quad, hamstring, questionable, whatever the heck tightened up? Why do we not get that? That's what's – even with Julio, like, earlier in camp. I mean, he's missed all that time. There's never – obviously, they don't have to say what it is, so they don't. But it's just all the stuff around him and whatever he is dealing with has been very weird.
Yeah, it's a little unusual, and I think, as you say, what Mike Vrabel said Sunday after the game – when we were trying to figure out what was going on. And Mike Vrabel said, kind of at that point in the game, we were looking for guys to kind of root out safeties and that type of thing. He left the door open to speculation that we're thinking, okay, so is he saying Julio doesn't do that well enough? Does he not run block well enough? Well, that's, what I think he was trying to put to bed yesterday when as you say, he was, lavish praise upon Julio Jones and said he played physically. He hadn't done anything wrong outside of the unsportsmanlike in week one. So that theory went out the window. So to me, it's either one of two things. It was either, the old, injuries acting up and or load management, or it's a new injury, and I think that is the proper course to follow. A new injury. Again, it did not appear to be anything too severe. I mean, Julio Jones had his helmet on, for a good part of that fourth quarter. So I think if it was desperation, to me it looked like he could have come back in. But I do think certainly something is wrong. You just don't turn, when the third quarter turns into the fourth and say, that looks like about it for Julio Jones. We got this in the bag. We're up by a point over the Colts. It was 14-13 at the start of the fourth, and even later in the fourth, it was again a one-possession game. It was 22-16, and the Titans were deep in their own end. So, if you're saying they just didn't need him to beat the Colts, I'm not buying that.
John Glennon from SI.com on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, John, speaking of running the ball, there was this thought going into the season that maybe with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones and the passing weapons that Tannehill had at his disposal, that maybe that meant fewer touches for Derrick Henry. And here we are 3 games in, and he's got 80 rushes, and apparently he's going to catch like 65 balls this year out of the backfield as well. So at this point, it looks like Derrick Henry going to be right on pace to get around 350, 400 carries again. Are you surprised he's gotten the ball as much as he has through the first 3 games?
Not really, no. Yeah, and it's interesting. You throw in the 17th game, of course, this year too, and I think if you do the math at this point, Derrick Henry is on pace for 453 carries, which would set a new NFL record, smash the old NFL record, as a matter of fact. And again, this is only week 3. Things could certainly change, but no, I'm not really surprised when you look at the passing game. Certainly is better, but have we seen, what we expected necessarily in the passing game? AJ's been hurting a little bit. Julio's been hurting a little bit. It just hasn't taken off necessarily, as we thought that it might so far. So if that's not going quite as well as it might have been expected, what do? You hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. And when you maybe didn't do it as much as you would like to do in week 1, and you end up getting thumped, well, what's the the solution there? What's the answer? Give it to them even more. And I think especially in week 2, a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of fans were getting impatient and saying, okay, they're not getting anywhere with Derrick Henry. Stop giving it to him. Start throwing the ball around, and give Todd Downing and give the Titans credit there. They did stick with the run, even 2 scores down, and it paid dividends. Derrick Henry broke the 60-yarder. Derrick Henry started breaking some more runs, and they come back. So, to me, that is always, until proven otherwise, that is the bedrock of this defense. Not only is it Derrick Henry running, but it's the play action that is set up by Derrick Henry's successful runs, and we have seen the last 2 weeks, Tannehill's numbers have been great off of play action. So, I think, as I say, when anything else might struggle, you can always come back to the main man, even if he's going to end up with 522 touches, by the end of this season.
What did you think of Tannehill in particular on Sunday, John? And I guess Tannehill to date. I mean, I think he's probably been under more duress in terms of, I think probably in his time here, in terms of taking big hits. What do you think of his performance, though, given all the things going on around him?
Yeah, well, he took, I think, in that first season that he took over from Mariota, he did take a pretty good amount of hits that year. He and Mariota were both getting hammered that season. And then last year it improved quite a bit. I thought he did a really good job of getting rid of the ball earlier last year, and that reduced some of the hits. Now, some of the sacks we've seen him take this year, he can barely have time to get back and set up in the pocket before there's a guy all over him. I think it seems to be getting better, here as the weeks progress. The protection seems to be getting better. But, I think that there's still, to this day, there's still that reputation, probably much more outside of Nashville, that all Ryan Tannehill does is turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. And last week is a really good example. He's in there, leading critical drives in the fourth quarter with Nick Westbrook. No offense, Joe.
That's okay.
I know You're a Nick guy.
It's Westbrook Akina, though. Say his name right. Say his full name.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Nick Westbrook Akina and Racey McMath.
Big day for him Sunday.
At receiver, sure. And the week before, another game tying drive in the fourth quarter, another game winning drive in overtime, and we've seen him do that time and time again. So I think that's an example. Again, what we saw last week was he doesn't have to have that running game. He's a pretty good quarterback, on his own. He can do some good things, and as I say, I think that line is getting better. I think Taylor Lewan is getting back. He's certainly not at a Pro Bowl level, but he's certainly, not at week one level either. So I think the protection should improve as the season goes on here.
John Glennon from SI.com has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. John, great stuff as always, brother. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Right, John Glennon does a great job covering the Titans for SI.com. And despite Rexrode's shade there, I enjoy the John Glennon PFF.
Hey,
Monday.
I'm not saying I don't enjoy them. If I didn't have Glennon's PFF grades, I don't know what I'd do on a Monday morning.
Exactly.
It's like another shot of coffee, but I just like to laugh at a lot of their stuff. They do some good stuff.
They do. We'll come back. We'll react to what John had to say there. Take your thoughts on the Titans on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Screen to Henry. Henry with blockers in front. Derrick Henry knocking over Darius Leonard.
King Henry and the Titans sit atop the division heading into a Week 4 meeting with the Jets.
Win every day, not just every game, win every day.
And we've got you covered all week long.
We've got to win offensive line, defensive line. That's where the strength of our team is.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's no place like Panera. Enjoy a toasty sandwich served on fresh baked focaccia or a refreshing salad with sweet berries. Panera.
Football is back, and Electronic Express has what you need to make the game bigger than ever. Bring the stadium to you with the best in-home entertainment from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. Watching the game on the go? Save big on laptops, tablets, and headphones. Plus, we have all your appliance needs up to 50% off, and get up to 36 months free financing. We've got you covered this football season at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Don't be surprised to go into a jewelry store looking for a certain diamond only to hear them say, "We don't have it in stock, but we can get it for you." The fact is, most jewelers today don't carry a large diamond inventory, except one, Genesis Diamonds.
If you're in the diamond business and you don't have diamonds, you're not in the business.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
It's not an issue of I can get it for you. It's I've got it for you. I'm ready for you. This is our specialty. Whether it's a half a carat, 5 carat, 10 carat, we have it. It's in stock because we are all in with diamonds and diamond jewelry. Nowhere else can you go and see a selection of larger GIA certified diamonds anywhere in the city.
All sizes, all shapes, including the region's most extensive collection of large, rare investment grade diamonds and the hard to get fancy colored stones.
We have them in stock.
Genesis Diamonds, continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring.
Every stone is hand selected for its brilliance, its beauty, but more importantly for its value.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 1025 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
First interception by Ryan. I know it didn't sound like you're obviously too pleased about it yesterday. I wonder if you got a chance to look at it.
Still not as pleased with it.
Did you get a chance to look at it again on tape? And
I'd seen it once. I didn't need to watch it twice.
Were there, like Ryan mentioned, there was like kind of a miscommunication?
There you go.
Okay.
The guy throwing the ball says it was miscommunication. Guess who am I to tell you any differently?
That's tight end coach Mike Vrabel yesterday at his press conference describing the Tannehill interception, the first Tannehill interception on Sunday against the Colts. A fun little back and forth there between Mike Vrabel and John Glennon, who was kind enough to join us on our last segment here on the show.
But didn't give us the full PFF
He did not.
grades for the entire team for the season, which I expect on Twitter later today.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that Vrabel well, basically laughs at the idea that, miscommunication on the pick. Threw into a pep rally.
That is a great quote.
That's pretty fantastic.
Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, taking your thoughts on the Titans. Jacob in Murfreesboro texting in, I can appreciate how we hope this offense would be more dynamic and maybe take some heat off Henry a little bit. And through 3 games, all we've seen is him get the same amount, if not more carries, along with getting him touches in the passing game. Really glad that Derrick Henry is, quote, built different, with a laughing, crying emoji face.
No doubt. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not sustainable, but, man, I do think you want to diversify a little bit. But, again, keep in mind, A.J. Brown, okay, hurt last week, uncharacteristic drops week 2. And remember, week 2, they had to be dynamic to get back in that game as well. Yes, Derrick Henry, the 60-yard run, changed the game. Basically, their offense to that point was largely Julio Jones. So they have demonstrated the ability to be dynamic, and I think it's there for sure. You cannot do it all or be what you want to be as a downfield team until your pass protection is solidified. I think we're seeing that process take place, but I don't think we've seen it at its completion. I expect, especially the way David Quessenberry is playing, I expect this line to start to look like last year's offensive line before Taylor Lewan went down. And if that's the case, that's when you really start to see things take off. Now, let me add to that, provided you've got a healthy A.J. Brown and a healthy Julio Jones on the outside.
I just want to point out that right now, Derrick Henry is tied for the team lead in receptions for the Titans.
Now, there's a stat.
He's got 12. Julio Jones also has 12. Derrick Henry has more catches through 3 games than A.J. Brown. It's pretty incredible.
Who had that one in the prop in the FanDuel Sportsbook?
Not very many people.
Yeah. And last week again, this is another hot debate in the Titans media circles, and I'll tell you what side I'm on. I'm on the side of Derrick Henry has improved a ton. I'm not saying he's as a receiver. I'm not saying he's going to all of a sudden start, catching slants and, fades in the end zone. But, like, even the pass on that drive that really cemented the game, that was not just a little check-down dump. I mean, he had to catch a pass over by the sideline with his hands, got a little stiff arm in afterward, but he caught it very confidently.
Smoothly.
Yeah, very smoothly. This is not something that Derrick Henry would have done like 3 years ago. He's worked on it. It's showing. So there's still, I see like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. And then McNichols comes in for Henry, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. I get it. And all that stuff. Well, the reason that carries matter is not because you grab the football and now all of a sudden that makes you tired. It's because you get hit. So if you're in on 3rd and 8, guess what? You're probably going to hit a blitzing linebacker. So that's the same thing. I mean, so the wear and tear is also a snaps thing, and you got to keep that in mind. So if you take him out for a few of those, you're also reducing the accumulation of hits.
Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dennis texting in. We have Tannehill running the ball, Henry catching passes. Not what I was expecting, but it's nice that teams have to worry about those threats.
Well, Tannehill, like in a lot of things, is underrated as a runner. I mean, the guy has got some wheels.
Although Vrabel making it pretty clear yesterday as well in the press conference, he would like to see Tannehill slide a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. It's always fun to talk about the tough quarterback, and the team loves it and they get pumped up. They will not get pumped up when a shoulder gets separated.
Yep.
You can't. I mean, you really do have to. Like the last one again, that was great because the dive and staying in bounds, and he didn't take a hit either. That's perfect. But that 28-yarder, nah, you don't do that stuff. No. It's the NFL. 33 years old.
Well, and
he's 4 years older than you.
I know. He's an old man. And I get it. Like, he used to be a wide receiver, so there's that natural instinct when you're carrying the ball, if you're Tannehill, that I am going to try to get every single yard that I can get. And in some ways, I appreciate that. There have been some runs that Tannehill has had as a quarterback of the Titans where I think to myself, oh, my goodness, that is awesome to see your quarterback lower the shoulder. Like I think it was the Jacksonville game a couple years ago where he took off running into the end zone and like basically somersaulted through defenders in the end zone.
Right.
And I was at that game, and the place went nuts. I mean, that place went crazy for Ryan Tannehill. And I loved it at the time, and then I went back home and watched it on the replay, and I was like, "Hey, why don't you just get down, man? Just live to fight another down." Like you just can't have Ryan Tannehill getting hurt running the ball.
Yeah. So,
now, having said that, he's been hit much harder in the pocket so far than he has been running the ball.
Right. That's the thing. He's got a few things to clean up, slide or get out of bounds or whatever, or even go down head first, but don't take the hit. Don't turn it over. He's turned it over 5 times. He has not been a guy who turns it over a lot. So he's had 3 picks. 2 of them have bounced off people. Now, I will say the first one, targeting Julio, was in game 1. They were way down. It was but it was a forced pass. I don't put too much in that one. The pick the other day was bad. The fumbles, look. Like the Chandler Jones one, he turned his head and got
destroyed.
I mean, I don't know how he didn't lose an organ along with the football on that play. I can't really hammer that. That's a protection problem, and you take those away, and I bet you the turnovers go down.
Yeah, I mean, again, I still have lots of confidence in Ryan Tannehill. I know turnovers, fumbles have been a problem so far. Interceptions a problem on Sunday. Some of which were his fault, some of which were not. But there's enough body of work right now with Tannehill that I still feel pretty good about him moving forward if I'm a Titans fan. Be great to have all his weapons on the field, though.
Now, he was very good Sunday. He had one terrible play. He was very good. The greatest quarterbacks of all time, the GOAT, Tom Brady, who's never thrown an incompletion, has thrown some pick sixes that make you wonder if he was playing Pop Warner football. Yep. I mean, it happens to all these guys.
We'll continue the conversation on the Titans when we come back, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Attention men, have you been struggling with erectile dysfunction? Well, Hillside Medical Clinic has a breakthrough treatment for ED that does not require any pills, injections, or surgery. Right now, Andrew from Hillside Medical joins me to tell us all about it. Andrew, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Hey, I am doing well, and that's right, guys. If you're out there frustrated in the bedroom experiencing some ED, we have a major medical advancement called acoustic wave therapy. Hillside Medical Clinic has helped so many men. This technology opens up and regrows blood vessels with gentle pressure waves, so you don't have to take the pill anymore. We're talking about normal and natural spontaneity coming back in the bedroom.
So, Andrew, what kinds of clinical studies have been done on this technology that you just talked about?
That is what is so exciting is we have 50 third-party clinical studies from places like the Cleveland Clinic and Cambridge University showing this is highly effective, it's safe. It actually was just called the new standard of care for erectile dysfunction.
And I hear you have a special offer if our listeners call in right now.
We do. If you're struggling with ED and ready to regain your love life, call us now this morning. The assessment, exam, and blood flow ultrasound is free, plus a gift. You'll really love this. It produces immediate and powerful results in the bedroom. About $500, but we're doing it free to callers right now.
That's right. You heard it, guys. You can put a stop to your erectile dysfunction by treating the root cause of the problem. Call Hillside Medical Clinic right now to qualify for that offer. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your ED and regain your love life. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now at 615-576-5000.
Titans. Jets. It's time to take care of business in the Big Apple. Tune in Sunday at 9:30 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Brentwood. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Dan Abrams and his live PD sidekick Styx return in a new program, Dan Abrams Live. Premieres tonight, September 27th at 8/7 Central on News Nation.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren Donick and Chase. This Saturday's featured SEC college football game at 2:30 is Alabama taking on Ole Miss. Come out and watch the action with me at Brewhouse West on Charlotte Pike. We'll have great prizes and even more fun.
It's not just about being in your community. It's about being your community.
Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at ballstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the official whiskey of the NFL pregame broadcast on ESPN 1025 The Game. Screwball is the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. Made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, Screwball is all natural flavor to be enjoyed as a straight shot, in an espresso martini, peanut butter old fashioned, or a PB&J shot with a berry liqueur. Check out screwballwhiskey.com/recipes for more. Be sure and ask for Screwball by name at your favorite watering hole in Nashville.
Enjoy responsibly. 2021 Screwball Spirits LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score during football season with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including my favorite, team and player props. Log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. One Game Parlay is the fast and easy way to combine your same-game win, total, and prop picks. New to BetMGM? Sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with the bonus code 1025GAME. You can place One Game Parlay bets on pro and college football, baseball, soccer, and more. Go ahead and take your favorite player to score, the home team to cover, and the over in touchdowns. Log in today or download the BetMGM app to try One Game Parlay. New customer offer, paid and free bets. You must be 21 years or older, must be in Tennessee. Visit BetMGM.com for a full list of terms and conditions. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Is it time to fix your roof? Trust the roofers with integrity. E2 Roofing is a veteran-owned and operated local roofer that has built the reputation of delivering better service. E2 assists customers with roof repair and replacements through their insurance claim assistance, which has awarded them with 95-star Google ratings and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Find out if insurance will pay for your new roof with a free inspection at e2roofingnashville.com.
Here they come, turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Every Saturday morning at 9, we hit the big topics. The Ally 400, Kyle Busch, frustrated, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and talk to the big names.
I'll go ahead and blame you.
Oh, I think it's big.
Could go a lot of different directions right now.
I was so impressed.
How cool that's going to be.
It's Chasing Checkers, Saturday morning at 9 on ESPN 1025 The Game and wherever you get your podcast.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 1025 The Game.
Join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and families. Through this inspirational nationwide movement, we raise awareness and funding for groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will be virtual and take place on November the 4th. Learn more at lightthenight.org/TN. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, presented by Volunteer State Bank. Visit volstatebank.com to learn more about their free Kasasa checking account. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Talking Titans, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Adam in Portland texting in. I wonder if we'll start Logan Woodside and Mekhi Sargent in the scrimmage against the Jets this week. We should rest anyone who has an ailment. The Jets are horrible, although Corey Davis may light us on fire for not believing in him. Thanks, Mariota, for the slow start for Corey Davis.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack with that one.
There is. Are they going to start Logan Woodside and Mekhi Sargent coming up on Sunday? Yes or no, Rexrode?
I think absolutely. I think that's absolutely the thing to do.
Hey, it's maybe an interesting
It's a guarantee game.
I will say this. If the Titans play to their capabilities, you might see some Logan Woodside and Mekhi Sargent in that game at some point.
That is, that'd be the dream for the Titans. I just had to do my my vote this week on the Athletics Power Rankings. I did not put the Jets last, though. The Jets did not get last. I don't know if I made a mistake or not, but I had to go with Urban's guys.
They're pretty bad, man.
Yeah.
I've had Jacksonville at the bottom of my power rankings for the last 2 weeks.
The Lions, I moved the Lions up to 28 or something, 27.
Yeah, they're moving it, man.
Come on.
Move
the
it.
roar is on the way to being restored.
That's right. Dennis texting in. It's funny how Vrabel expresses unhappiness with something Julio did, and people immediately jump to friction between Vrabel and Julio. Vrabel obviously wasn't happy with Tannehill's interception, and I've not heard the same.
Yeah, but see, the context there is that Julio Jones had conflicts in Atlanta. He had conflicts with management, apparently with coaches, apparently not with teammates. And that's an important point to be made over and over again because I think some people take it too far. But also, let's remember, when they traded for Julio Jones, I mean, Vrabel even talked about calling Nick Saban. I mean, there was a lot of homework done like, okay, is this going to be some kind of a problem? You have a superstar Hall of Famer who's had these issues with his past team. You know, is this going to be some kind of a conflict, some kind of something that, you know, that wrecks the harmony in the locker room or whatever? So that's – and another thing is the Vrabel, you know, laughing, I guess the guy said through the ball. I guess he said. That's different than, you know, that falls under the category of bleep and put it in capital letters. You understand the difference in those two things?
Bold letters.
Probably not.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, I think it's a fair thing to bring up, but I think I just told you why it's different.
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Donnie from Smyrna, who wants to weigh in. Donnie, thanks for calling into Robby and Rexrode.
Hey, guys, how are you this morning?
Good, man.
Good.
All right, listen, I don't care whether Derrick Henry gets 30, 20, or 10 carries a game. All I hate is the fact that everybody in the nation knows that on first down we're going to give Derrick Henry the ball. I don't need Derrick Henry to get me 2 yards. I think if we're going to be dynamic, let's be dynamic from opening snap. And then Derrick Henry might not get but 15 carries, but there'll be more productive carries because everybody knows he's not going to run the football every down on first down.
Hey, thanks for the call, Donnie. We appreciate it. And look, I think Donnie represents a good portion of the Titans fan base. And to their credit, the first play of the game the other day for the Titans, it was not a handoff to Derrick Henry.
True. And I think it's a very fair point by Donnie. I agree. Like I like pass to run a little bit early in these games and keep them off balance. You know, but what's interesting about that is you still talk to coaches. They say, well, those 2-yard runs, those pile up on the defense. So, you know, it's like running those plays, even if they've done a good job against you, is part of wearing them out. You know, which I get, but also you're adding to his workload, which is just massive. So, what's better to, you know, having that as some kind of a wearing effect on the defense in one game, or trying to just overall take the load off him a little bit? In general, I agree with Donnie. Like I think a little bit more, you know, variance early in a game, and then just knowing that he's going to be your hammer in a close game in the fourth quarter, or if you have the lead in the fourth quarter. But I mean, it's their bread and butter.
Well, I've said it. It's very difficult to go away from that guy.
Yeah.
It just is.
I mean, look, in the second quarter of Sunday's game, I mean, halftime came at a nice time for the Colts, and of course, I think that was the Chester Rogers pick, right? Yeah, that was the pass off Chester Rogers' chest. Like, they were already looking like a worn-out D, sick of tackling Derrick Henry in the second quarter. I mean, a lot of things about that game could have been a blowout. And Titans helped it not be one. But, no, I mean, I agree, Donnie, in general. Like, especially on 1st and 10, the defenses are so geared up, so looking for outside zone left or right to Derrick Henry that it might be a good idea to mix that up a little bit more than they did. You're right. First play was not a run to him, so just for the record, it's not always a first down run.
But there is a lot of first down runs.
Yeah. And a lot of them go for not much.
Yeah. We talked a lot yesterday about Julio Jones and the situation on Sunday in the fourth quarter. Julio Jones on the sideline. He's got his helmet with him. Looks like he's ready to go in, and he does go in. Was interested to see what Mike Vrabel was going to say on that yesterday in his press conference. And like we knew it would be, the question was asked, and Mike Vrabel addressed the Julio Jones situation. Here's what the Titans head coach had to say yesterday at his press conference.
You know, as it relates to your question, you know, about Julio, you know, guys go through games, guys get tight, and, you know, I felt like it was in the best interest of our football team and everybody involved that he be available in an emergency situation at that point in time. There hasn't been, other than one admitted, I would say, lapse in judgment in the first game, which everybody would agree on, myself, the team, Julio. There hasn't been one situation where I was disappointed. He's played physical. He came back, played great last week, played physical yesterday, and that's where we were.
You say tight, Mike.
Again, guys get tight throughout the game, so we're not. Yes, physically tight. Yeah. So, listen, guys, this is going to be the least I talk about injuries. So that's what we do. This is not an issue with his performance. This isn't an issue with anything other than me making a decision and saying, hey man, let's see if we can get through this and survive and win this football game and see if there's a.
So that was Mike Vrabel yesterday at his press conference saying
the most you'll talk about injuries.
Yeah, not the least. We've heard a lot less injury talk than that.
But again, even in trying to talk about injuries, which he hates doing, he starts to try, and it's guys like tightness. Like, okay, what kind of tightness are we talking about here? Muscle tightness. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
For the conspiracy theorists, by the way, who still are going to be like, yeah, I don't buy it for a minute. It's a Vrabel Julio, showdown. I went back and watched the game, and someone brought this point up. I mean, he had a heck of a tackle after one of those picks.
Yeah.
He also, from what I saw, he did a really good job blocking. So, because that's what the first thing when I went through the game, in fact, while writing the column Sunday, I was like, okay, maybe there's some play where he just totally just didn't block, and that guy made the tackle or something like that. One of those plays where a coach like Vrabel, who's huge on team game, receivers block, physical football team, top to bottom, would be unhappy with that. I didn't find it. I don't think it exists. So something tightened up. Hashtag tightened up on Julio Jones. Vrabel sat him. It's not load management. It's reacting to a physical situation.
Well, and you heard, I thought, really interesting comments there, too, in terms of outside of the one incident that we've talked about here on the show of the personal foul penalty, Vrabel said there's not been one situation where he's been disappointed with Julio Jones.
Here's the thing about Vrabel. Just like any coach, yesterday he's asked directly, great question by Luke Worsham, about Josh Reynolds, and he doesn't answer. He won't give an answer. Is it an injury thing, or is it just that he's scratched? He was inactive. He doesn't give an answer. Just like all coaches, there are times when the truth is withheld and possibly just not given at all. But if you think Mike Vrabel, the way he is as a coach, the pride he has as a player and a coach person in this league, is going to say that he hasn't been unhappy with one thing and talk about all these things he likes from Julio Jones on the field and lies about it, that doesn't pass the sniff test at all.
I don't think that there's some big problem with Vrabel and Julio Jones.
I promise you it will be discussed, though.
Oh, I know. But to me, that never made sense on Sunday.
Well, it made sense if there wasn't something with it physically.
Right,
it's one of those two things to me.
But even that didn't make sense to me. It's one thing to do that when you have A.J. Brown in the game. You didn't have A.J. Brown. So, if you're upset with Julio Jones, are you really going to look around and say, at your team and say, yeah, I know this guy's really good, but he pissed me off because he didn't block the way I wanted to, so I'm setting him down. How's that going to go over?
Well, I agree. And yet I kept the door cracked open on that if there wasn't a problem. I agree that it's not a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
And certainly don't want to make a living out of that.
No.
Because if you got 3rd and 10 and he's not out there because of that, that's why he's paid a lot of money. But I still, I kept that open as a possibility before he clarified it. But to me, it's an actual clarification. It's as close as you're ever going to get from Vrabel on talking about injuries.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like move forward. but it will still be talked about.
Yes, it will. Tomorrow, it's your chance to participate in the Nashville SC Pick to Click, brought to you by Camarena Tequila. If you guess correctly which player scores a goal in the game tomorrow, you win a 4-pack of tickets to an upcoming Nashville SC home game. Participate tomorrow morning at 9:45. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on the Titans. We got a lot of your thoughts to get to on the text line as well, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. More sunshine in store for us today. Temperatures will work their way from the 70s to the middle 80s when it's all said and done this afternoon. Storms back the second half of this week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Eyes, teeth, we love your whole face. Protect your employees' overall health by adding Delta Dental and Delta Vision plans to your benefits package. These plans offer cost savings and the largest networks of providers. Learn more at deltadentaltn.com.
We can see your smile, and we think you should be able to see it too. With Delta Dental of Tennessee and Delta Vision, we can improve your overall well-being by keeping your teeth and eyes healthy. Visit deltadentaltn.com to find an affordable plan.
Lately, we've been getting a lot of calls and questions about acoustic wave therapy for the treatment of erectile dysfunction. This is a relatively new treatment for ED, but one we've been using for years. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, it's worth a visit to check us out. Our wave therapy protocols use acoustic wave technology, but often also combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedures required, and while most clinics you hear about only offer sound wave treatments, with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment and experience fewer letdowns. With another one of our ED treatments, you can last up to an hour and a half, and our expertise in treating these issues means you'll get the results you want. So make your appointment today. We'll show you why our acoustic wave program is the better way to do wave therapy. Call us today at 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to IBEW429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
Darren McFarland.
And a mulligan that we all look for in golf. Lord knows our game could use it.
Willie Donick.
Outworked and outperformed a lot of other really good players.
Chase McCabe.
I want some sort of trade protection.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curation CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Tune into the NFL Game of the Week on ESPN 94.9, brought to you by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. This week's NFL Game of the Week is the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Green Bay Packers, coming up on Sunday. Kickoff set for 3:25. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning. We'll have our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports coming up to begin the 9 o'clock hour. A busy week 3 in the NFL. We'll look back to that with him and look ahead at the rematch. I guess the rematch is not even the right word. The return, as they're billing it on Sunday Night Football. Brady, Belichick, coming up Sunday night. I can already sense your excitement over there, Rexrode. It's going to be good stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm interested in the story just like everybody else. I hope we get an interesting game. Not sure we will.
I kind of have a feeling that Brady's going to go in there and just absolutely annihilate them.
Yeah, I do too. I will say that I think Mac Jones, among the rookie quarterbacks, he's probably been one of the better ones. I don't know if you saw, well, especially like the pick that went off Jonnu Smith's hands.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It goes for a pick 6. And it was a little bit inaccurate of a throw, but you still want him to catch it, and you sure as heck don't want him to lay one up for the corner to just trot down the sideline. That was tough.
That was not great from Jonnu.
But I don't know, man. I don't see the Patriots hanging in, especially with the Bucs coming off that loss. They're still a great team, probably very motivated to make amends there.
Henry texting in on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. It looks to me like the Titans players are stepping up to take on some of the responsibilities when some of their injured players are out. When Brown can't catch, Henry can. They slow down Henry, Tannehill can run, and so on. And it has been good to see some offensive players pick up the slack the last couple of weeks. I'd even throw in, Cam Batson, Nick Westbrook-Akina on Sunday, make some big plays in the passing game with Julio out, with A.J. Brown out, Jeremy McNichols for the touchdown as well. So the depth of the Titans on offense at the skill positions, I think, has been a strength so far, and we'll see if that continues over the next couple of weeks where they could still be without A.J. Brown.
I think the offensive depth in general, because, McNichols has come in and made some plays. He made big plays in the Seattle. They're just little check downs, but he made the plays. He found some extra yards on some of those plays. He got the TD the other day. Like you said, the receivers. I mean, you take away the fumble from Westbrook-Akina. It was a very good game for him. Can't have the fumble, but he did a lot of good things. Chester Rogers does a lot of good things too, more good than bad. Can't let that ball pop up on you. But even on the offensive line, Sombrilo comes in against Seattle, does really well. And I think they're solidified at right tackle right now. It's 3 games, and we'll see. But I see no step down whatsoever from Dennis Kelly to David Quessenberry at this point. Dennis Kelly, last year's version, versus Quessenberry, this year's version.
Yep.
I think they're in good shape there, which, again, then brings you to,
nice forced fumble, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was a very nice play by him. But brings you back to, again, the second-round pick and what you were trying to do there. But the offensive depth for this team, I agree, has been very good. Defensive depth has been, David Long, Breon Borders. You've had some guys who've come in and done well for you. The bottom of the roster, Ola, has been quite. They've got some more fines. It's some of the top of the roster stuff that needs to be better.
RBI Sports on YouTube says, winning will stop inter-team strife, but there is something going on behind the scenes concerning player management, i.e. Julio Jones. You expect him to be in on the goal line, and 2 weeks in a row, he's not. This is coming from RBI Sports on YouTube.
Trying to think, on the goal line. I guess that just means in the red zone.
Probably.
I'd expect him to be in a lot. I don't remember specifically what you're talking about with Seattle. We saw in the first week at times, actually, Julio and AJ both tapped out of that game.
That's a conditioning thing. Week 1, it's hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Week 1, late second quarter, all that stuff. But, look, the decision was made going to the fourth. Again, after a play on which Julio blocked exactly how you're supposed to block on an 11-yard Derrick Henry run, the decision was then made going to the fourth quarter that he would not play anymore. So that was it. That he would be, in the words of Rabel, available in case of emergency, which to me means some of those other guys, Westbrook-Akina, McMath, Batson, getting hurt, and it's like someone has to play the position.
Ron texting in, we just need to get plenty of receivers we have on this roster healthy and ready for Sunday's game and unleash the beast on Jacksonville, and we should be all right. I assume the beast is Derrick Henry.
Wait. Are you looking past the Jets, texter?
Who would ever do that?
How dare you?
Let's go back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in David from Mount Juliet, who wants to weigh in. David, thanks for calling in to Robby and Rexrode.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. Listen to your show. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Henry and Tannehill, man, are like Superman for our team right now, and defense is playing. I hope our coaches learn the valuable lesson that when the receivers try to sit out preseason and workouts and stuff, might not be a good thing next time. But I thought I'd give that to y'all and see what y'all think about it.
Thanks for the call, David. Appreciate it. I mean, look, that's been a pretty popular talking point, too, among Titans fans through the first few weeks of the season of maybe those training camp practices are more important. Now, I will say.
Well, especially after week one.
After week one, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, Julio looked awfully good in week 2. I think, look, A.J. Brown, the injuries are concerning with the knee. I think the good news is, if there is a good news in this situation, that it's not another knee injury. Like, that's when I think you can be really concerned about A.J. Brown if the knee is continually a problem. This is a hamstring injury, and that's not great because we know that can linger for a while, but at least it's not another knee injury that you start to wonder, is this going to be something that plagues A.J. Brown for his entire career? So, look, it's not like both guys were completely healthy in camp either, and they just weren't out there practicing. I think Vrabel does value practice. I think he values availability, but he's also not going to be reckless in training camp and pushing guys that might be able to play in terms of practice because you don't want to make things worse.
I think that call, it's a very popular sentiment, and I just think that Vrabel's been misunderstood on this point. Vrabel, to me, if he could have these guys for every single snap of every single practice, he would absolutely sign up for it. Now, yes, you're going to be careful, and I can't argue against being careful. But he talks all the time about availability. It's one of those things where he's not going to sit there and constantly say, gosh, I wish Julio was practicing today. But usually when you ask him about someone who's doing well, it's like, well, the great thing is he's available for practice. I mean, it's kind of like guy said he miscommunication. Well, I'm not going to argue with that then. You got to read between the lines on what he says. I think Vrabel would have loved to – I know he would have loved to see these guys practice more. I think what we've seen is that actually with A.J. Brown and with Julio, there's something – there may not be major things, but something that kept him out. I think you're probably being extra careful with guys like that because you want them there for the long haul. But also there are physical things here.
Yep. Kathleen texting into our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Is Robby and Michelle going to have tense moments this week? Big Steelers-Packers game coming up.
Oh, right.
Oh, there's no way the Steelers are winning. I love them.
She's already defeated.
Oh, I'm already defeated. These last
There's a way.
There is a way. I don't have a lot of faith, but.
So you're a bandwagon fan. All right, good to know.
No, I still love them. I just am not confident they'll win.
You know who's looked really good since Michelle just started totally eviscerating them here on the program? The Bills look pretty good.
Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm. The Bills and Bills Mafia have been motivated by your harsh words.
My stepdad said, Michelle, stop picking against them and pigskin pick them. Use your brain. So I don't know if you guys have noticed after that, what was it, 39-0 against Miami or something like that? Yeah, they haven't really been talked about much, hence because they've been playing good.
And then you went 6-0 this week.
Packers a touchdown favorite against the Steelers on Sunday.
Only one touchdown?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. We'll see what happens on that front. When we come back.
Where is that one?
That's in Lambeau.
Oh.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Lots of hot topics to get into with him all around the NFL. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
That whole operation and choices and the plan and everything looked like garbage.
The voice of the fan.
There's a lot of loyal fans paying a lot of good money, and we just feel like we deserve the decency to give us a little bit more of an answer there.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time to turn it around. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. Off a rough Saturday against second-ranked Georgia, Vanderbilt football now gets ready to face Connecticut in the season's final non-conference game. On Monday's edition of Commodore Hour, head coach Clark Lee said he saw a team that was tight and timid against the Bulldogs.
You didn't have that kind of loose, fun, excited personality that we had against Stanford. Even the way the game was coached at times felt guarded. And I think that's natural in the way it started out.
If you missed Coach Lee's visit to Commodore Hour, you can download it from the Anchor podcast page on Apple and Spotify. Saturday's game with UConn kicks off at 6:30, pregame at 5 on the Vanderbilt Sports Network from Learfield. And by the way, Vandy's game at Florida, October 9th, will be an 11 a.m. kickoff and televised by the SEC Network. Women's basketball gets rolling. The Commodores of first-year coach Shea Ralph begin practice today with the season opener a few weeks away on November 9th. Men's basketball starts practice on Wednesday, pro day next Monday the 4th. Baseball continues fall training at Hawkins Field. Afternoon workouts are normally open to the public if you want to check it out. The full schedule was released last week, starting with a return series with Oklahoma State in mid-February. And Vanderbilt men's golf continues its fall schedule next week out in Fort Worth at the Colonial Collegiate Invitational. That's the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in and headed in. Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month with Hiller. They're offering credits for your old home systems. Trade in your old HVAC unit and earn up to $1,500 in credits towards a select new system. Upgrade from a standard water heater to a tankless water heater and earn up to $500 with your trade. Trade up to a new electrical panel and earn up to $500 in credits for your old one. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free guarantee. Their technicians are continuing to take measures to keep you and your family safe and healthy on every single call. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud sponsors of the Nashville Predators, Vanderbilt, and the Tennessee Volunteers.
The Titans head up to the Big Apple this weekend to take on the New York Jets Sunday at noon. Join us for a fun pregame show and watch party at the Corner Pub's Brentwood location at Old Hickory Boulevard. 102.5's NFL pregame show will be there live starting at 9:30 a.m. And the show features Jared Stillman, former Titans receiver Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. 102.5's NFL pregame show is brought to you in part by Freedom Tire, Harmon Tractor and Equipment, FanDuel, and Hillside Medical.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at theGameNashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning. And it's that time of the week we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Charles, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
I'm doing well, brothers. How you guys doing this morning?
We're doing great. Appreciate you taking time to join us. So, Charles, I want to start here with the Titans and Colts game this week, and obviously a big win for the Titans. They move to 2-1, but I'm interested to get your vantage point on the Colts. They're 0-3. This has obviously been an injury-riddled season to begin the season for them. Has the 0-3 start made you think any differently about Frank Reich and Chris Ballard and that entire operation in Indy, or do you just simply chalk it up to they've just sustained an incredible amount of injuries thus far?
No, I think the injuries, especially with the offensive line, have wreaked a lot of havoc. I mean, you go back to the success that Frank and Chris Ballard have had together, and it's typically been when that offensive line has been functional, completely healthy, and they've suffered some attrition there. And I think the inability to figure out quarterback-wise, look, the gamble on Carson Wentz, I get it. The thing that makes me a little nervous when I watch Wentz is he's still doing some of the things that he did in Philadelphia that really cost him his career there. And when you would talk to people in the Eagles front office after he went out the door, there were just certain elements of coaching him where he was very stubborn, and there were mechanical things that they tried to work on with him that he would regress back into bad habits. And then there was an element of his health where he was constantly trying to extend plays, or he's taking risks health-wise that were leading to him being really abused out there. And, with the Eagles, particularly when the offensive line wasn't good, that's when I think he kind of fell apart as a player. And you can't have that repeat itself in Indianapolis. You're going to get the same results, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing an offensive line that's just extremely beat up, not able to protect him, and he is just not, for whatever reason, capable of figuring out how to protect himself. And, there's a lot that goes into that. I think part of it is he processing fast enough? Are the skill position players around him good enough for him to make those fast decisions, or is he having to hold on to the ball, for guys to get open? Is he capable of manufacturing things when plays break down without putting himself into scenarios where, he's throwing balls over his shoulder, or he's, throwing shovel passes when he's getting dragged down by, defensive linemen? It's not a great situation, obviously, for the Colts. And I think first and foremost, they're going to have to figure out how to get that offensive line healthy. And it's not, I think one of the least fixable things in the NFL right now is if your offensive line falls apart mid-season. Most teams don't have the depth to deal with that, and it's hard to just start swapping around pieces. We've got a backup tackle. We think he can play guard. Now we're going to plug him in at guard and hope that works. Or, the center's not playing great, so we're going to move over our guard who's a decent guard, and he's going to play some center. Once you start shuffling things like that, that all has to be done in the off season to prepare yourself for situations like this. So, I just don't know how fixable this is going to get with, Wentz really needing a very good offensive line in front of him, to keep him upright and probably making better decisions than he's making right now.
So 3 weeks in, concerned about the Chiefs, totally buying in on Stafford and the Rams. Is Denver the biggest paper tiger ever? Are you laughing every hour or so about the Lions? Give me your overview here.
The season's been nuts. It's crazy. I mean, Cincinnati's in first place. Okay.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Raiders are in first place, and the Kansas City Chiefs are in last place in the AFC West. Oh, and the Denver Broncos are undefeated. The Carolina Panthers have the best scoring defense in the NFL right now, and Sam Darnold looks like a pretty good player. Aaron Rodgers has been bad and good all in one season. It's been wild. I think one thing I take away from this, particularly watching Dallas last night, put up a good game where they really realistically could have scored in the mid-50s if they had cleaned up a couple of mistakes. And Mike McCarthy actually wants to score points before halftime. They could have scored in the mid-50s, and I looked at that Dallas offense, and I'm like, this offense is amazing. They're everything that they're cracked up to be, and they don't even have Michael Gallup on the field. Now they're using a backup running back who's flashing and looking really good, capable of pushing Zeke for carries. They have tight ends who are contributing. The offensive line is healthy. Lyle Collins is suspended, and it will get better when Lyle Collins comes back. And then defensively, Micah Parsons has been great, flexed as a defensive end at times. Trevon Diggs looks amazing. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the Cowboys and I'm like, I legitimately, even though they're beating the hell out of a bad team, I can't say that this team can't factor at some point later in the season as sort of an NFC elite. And that's not because I'm high on the Cowboys. It's just because I think there's total chaos, in the NFL right now. Arizona looks great, but Arizona looked great the first half of last season. We don't know if the second half fade comes. Kyler Murray gets banged up. Things can change pretty quickly there. Matt Stafford looks like an MVP with the LA Rams, but he's probably been as clean in terms of getting hit as any quarterback in the NFL right now, which is pretty remarkable considering their offensive line was a big question mark entering the season. You bring up the Chiefs. I'm not pushing the panic button on the Chiefs yet, but they definitely need a third. Teams have figured out they're sending 3 and 4 guys at Patrick Mahomes, and then they're basically looking at the Chiefs. They're saying, look, either Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to hurt us, and we don't think that's going to happen consistently. you can get crazy and Patrick Mahomes can start hurting us by running the ball, which is, the Chiefs aren't going to let that happen. Or you're going to have to find a third guy because we're going to take, 6 and 7 defenders at a time, and we're basically going to flood the zone and keep you from throwing big plays to Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. Find a third option. I guess we're going to find out if Josh Gordon can be that guy because they can't seem to get it out of some of the other depths there. I just think it's a fantastically wide open season right now, and it's hard to really stare at one team, put our finger on it, and say, that team's definitely going to be here in the second half of the season. We love the Rams. I see the Rams. I look at power rankings. People are putting the Rams at the top of a lot of their power rankings right now. Well, the Rams don't have a running game. Okay, the offensive line still has plenty to prove, and defensively, I think, look, let them go through the teeth of the NFC West schedule, and we'll start to find out how good the Rams are, because the NFC West is going to be a bloodbath, and the worst team in the NFC West might be Seattle. That doesn't sound appetizing to anybody playing in the division. So it's going to be, I think what we're looking at right now, 8 weeks from now, we're going to look back and go, oh, yeah, we made a lot of, assumptions about the way things were going, and everything's flipped.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Charles, the return coming up on Sunday night. Tom Brady heading back to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. Obviously, there's a lot going into this game, and there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this game. What intrigues you the most about Brady's return to New England, whether that's the game itself, the reception? What comes to mind when I ask you what intrigues you the most about this game?
Well, I guess it's like nothing we've ever seen, just in terms of an iconic player. A guy who will always be in the conversation about the greatest NFL player in history, returning back, to a place where legitimately, had they held on to him, could still be playing at a high level right now. Like, do I think it's funny because Dan Lovitz and I kind of argued this on our podcast about whether it would have been the right decision for the Patriots to hold on to Tom or find a way to keep Tom in the fold, and whether things might be a lot better for the Patriots right now. Could they have rebounded a little more quickly than I thought? I think the answer to that's probably no, because you don't know if Rob Gronkowski is a part of that, and Gronk's been a huge piece of success in Tampa. They weren't going to bring Antonio Brown back into the fold. That's what Tom got in Tampa. I don't know that some of the other additions that were made in Tampa could have happened in a place like New England. So I think I think Brady probably said it best, where he said it's like right now is probably not the best time to reflect on, I'm paraphrasing here, right now is probably not the best time to reflect on the departure and the two sort of the Patriots and Belichick splitting and Brady going his own way. But it'll be something that, historically we look back on, and I think there will be a lot of second guessing about what could have, especially if Tom plays more than just 2 years in Tampa, what could have potentially happened had he stayed in New England, whether or not that, his sort of second wind of his career could have happened still in a Patriots uniform.
So how about those double middles from Eli last night? I'm a growing Eli Manning fan, I gotta say. Like he brings something to that. Sometimes they don't let him talk for like 10 minutes in a row, but he comes with some stuff.
Yeah, no, he's kind of the guy who takes the show off the rails at times. Like it's the double middle finger. I gotta respect the guy who throws them up and then afterwards says, "You can blur that out, right?" I'm like, that's my kind of guy. Go ahead and make your decision, and then later see if someone can clean it up for you.
Ask for forgiveness. That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure there had to be a producer like in the back, like, that's not how live TV works. Like, you can't just throw up. I thought it was amazing, and I wasn't. I flipped back and forth between the broadcasts, but I had not flipped back to it, and I'm on Twitter, of course. And then I just start seeing Eli Manning threw up double middle fingers to America, and I'm like, "This is the people are being facetious, right? Like, this didn't really happen. Like, it was a fantastic. It's unfortunate they have to take a break because it's been entertaining, and I love that he had to apologize. Chris Long's like cracking up the whole time he's apologizing. And then Peyton apologizes and says, I encouraged him to do it. I'm like, this is ESPN somehow stumbled into just absolutely great theater, and it's added. I never would have thought this was the way to add an extra element of entertainment to Monday Night Football, but it's definitely been a lot of fun. And I'm with you. I think there have been times where Eli Manning has definitely caught me with literally an out loud chuckle with some of the things he does and says.
Charles,
go bleep yourself, America.
Right. Charles, last thing here before we let you go, I do have to get your thoughts on what might be the perfect summation of the Detroit Lions franchise on Sunday. You bring out one of your all-time great players in Calvin Johnson to honor him at halftime, and the whole place starts booing the ownership group, and then you lose on an NFL record 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker. If there was a day that is Detroit Lions Day, I believe it was Sunday.
The Calvin Johnson thing, first off, like, one of the largest managerial blunders in the history of the NFL, literally. I mean, this is over I think it's like $1.6 million. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you have gotten like 20, 30 times that in bad press. Like, this is the dumbest. Just give them the money and be like, you know what? We had people running the team making decisions where, there wasn't a lot of foresight about what this decision really meant for our team and this player. And yet, you bring them back and the owner's getting booed when she's introducing them. And you have Matt Stafford, who's turned into a league MVP. He leaves the team. There's like, hey, this guy looks like an MVP now. He's made one Pro Bowl for the Lions during 10 years of prime, 11 years of prime, and and then you go out and, by the way, like, you blow, what was it, 4th and 19?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Like, this, you trot out a horrible defense. You blow it on 4th and 19 or whatever the down was, 4th and forever. And then, there's a clock issue where they get another second and a half, where it should have been delay a game, it wasn't. And then this guy who, the last time he was in Ford Field cranked a 61-yard field goal. He hits a 66, and not only, and in like Lions fashion, it was great because it wasn't like the kill shot where it just went through and you knew it was over. Like, it had to hit the cross.
You had a half second of maybe thinking you still had a chance.
Yes. Like, just this second and a half of like misery where you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is that going in? Yeah, it's that franchise just is.
It's beautiful.
It blows
it's amazing.
My mind. The decision. It's unreal. It really is. Like, I can't even the Browns. That was the thing about the Browns, all the ineptitude that the Browns had over those years. You couldn't say, well, look at they've had a couple first ballot Hall of Famers. Stafford could still become that guy eventually. What if Stafford has the flourish at the end? What if he's like Kurt Warner when Kurt Warner goes to Arizona and really, truly stamped himself? Like, Kurt Warner was going to be a Hall of Famer, probably her first ballot Hall of Famer. There was no question, though, when he kind of had that second life after the, looking horrible with the Giants. He leaves St. Louis, looks horrible with the Giants. He goes to Arizona and, rejuvenates himself. I mean, there's a chance this Matt Stafford could really emerge into, like, maybe even a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. It's not impossible. And the Detroit Lions just wasted all these players. It's I don't know, man. It's unbelievable to see this happen over and over with them, and I don't even know how you resolve it.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Sell the team.
That's right. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Charles, great stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time to join us.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. We'll come back. We'll react to what Charles had to say there. Take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 1025. After 20 years on the same sideline, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick meet this weekend as opponents. It's the GOAT QB versus the GOAT head coach, and you could be a part of the epic showdown with unbelievable odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can win $125 on a $5 bet if either team scores a touchdown. That's right, 25-1 odds on any touchdown anytime during the Tampa-New England game. I think Tom Brady's going to throw a few of those. I really like the Buccaneers in this game, but offers like this are just one of the many reasons I love betting the NFL on FanDuel. It's the #1 rated sportsbook app in America. It's easy to use, safe and secure, and you get your money quickly in as little as 24 hours. So if you're new, sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook today using promo code ROB and make your first bet one for the history books. Don't forget to use promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. A $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus of $125. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
October 14th.
Towards the net, the back end of the score. Predators break out in front.
The Nashville Predators regular season begins when they host the Seattle Kraken.
And the Predators win it overtime.
And your only home for every moment of the action is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In the concert event of a lifetime, come experience the dynamic energy of one of the most accomplished musicians of our time, Carlos Santana. Blessings and Miracles Tour 2021. This Wednesday, First Bank Amphitheater. Take a trip through the hits from Woodstock to Supernatural and a backwards flip into the unknown. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com.
Football is back, and Electronic Express has what you need to make the game bigger than ever. Bring the stadium to you with the best in-home entertainment from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. Watching the game on the go? Save big on laptops, tablets, and headphones. Plus, we have all your appliance needs up to 50% off, and get up to 36 months free financing. We've got you covered this football season at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, mortgage rates have taken a nosedive, back to the lowest in history. Don't miss your chance to lock in a lower house payment with Loan Pronto now. Hey, it's Willie Donna. Call Loan Pronto today and take advantage of their super popular zero-cost refi program. You can get a rate with an APR in the low 2s with no junk fees and no closing costs. Yes, they pay your closing costs. Who else does this? Loan Pronto's all-digital process is fast and easy. Virtually no paperwork required, and most loans get closed in 14 days. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Think about that little bonus. Call Loan Pronto now and start the process before rates spike again. Get your forever loan today. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. If your current mortgage rate starts with a 3, you need to act now. 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost option.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Are you struggling to find and retain good employees? Well, we can help. Cromwell Media invites you to attend one of our 2 free recruitment and retention seminars hosted by Chris Stonick on October the 5th or 6th. For the past 33 years, Stonick has helped hundreds of companies find newer, more cost-efficient ways to recruit qualified employees. You can learn new recruitment strategies, enjoy a continental breakfast, and be eligible to win door prizes. Go to thegamenashville.com/register for more info and to sign up. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. We'll be joined here in about 7 minutes by David Ubben from The Athletic. So looking forward to that conversation with him. Lots to get into in the world of college football. So that's coming up next with David Ubben. Thanks to Charles Robinson for joining us in the last segment. It has been a wild 3 weeks in the NFL. Like, There's so much
really
going
good.
on. The Chiefs are in last place. The games largely have been incredible. I mean, it's been a really great start to the NFL. And, again, I said it yesterday. I don't know how much just seeing fans in the stands has to do with that and, adding to that. I'm sure that's some of it. But the games themselves have been awesome for the most part. And it's been a wild start to league play in the NFL.
What's the team that you believe, or I'm trying to think of the way to phrase this. What's the team that is most different right now from what we thought they were, what you thought they were after week 1? And I mean in reality, because I'm not at all worried about the Chiefs. Like, I'm just not worried about them. And I don't buy the Broncos for a second. That's the weakest schedule you could ever have. They're like a 8-9, 9-8 kind of team.
I am starting to buy the Raiders a little bit more. I think the Raiders, if Derek Carr keeps playing the way that he's been playing, I think the Raiders can win a lot of games. I think they can be very good. Now, I still am not quite willing to say that I fully trust Derek Carr yet because I've seen this before, but the Raiders look awfully impressive to me so far.
Yeah.
And they've done it without Josh Jacobs basically all year.
Yeah, that's the thing. You get him going if you do. That bodes well. I'm trying to think obviously Buffalo stunk it, but I wasn't worried about them either. They look more like them.
Well, the Titans.
Right.
They were awful in week 1.
They were. And, of course, around here that means just pure carnage, but I still was the same thing. Like, big picture, I didn't think that was them.
Packers. There's a lot of overreacting in week 1.
Yeah. Now, I'm kind of with Charles on I hate to do it. I hate to think it, but I think the Cowboys might be pretty good.
Yeah.
Their defense has gotten to the point of it's kind of like they're kind of like the Titans in a way. Like, be okay on D. Be okay on D. Obviously, be healthy on offense. You might have something. They are pretty dynamic offensively, man.
Yeah.
And Dak looks really good. Dak's he's emerging. I don't know where he is in the in the ranking of quarterbacks or what tier. He's a second tier, I would say. But he's probably pretty high second tier.
I would say the team that looks maybe the most different from week 1 that maybe was just a total aberration in week 1, the Steelers are not good. And we had Taylor from Fort Campbell on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, say he's a Bengals fan and he's never seen a Steelers team roll over like he just saw on Sunday and just take the beating. They have not looked good so far. They were throttled by the Bengals.
I just haven't been able to watch a lot of them. Like some teams, obviously primetime games help a lot in terms of being able to see teams if you cover a team.
Sure.
But yeah, I've been surprised by everything with them. Surprised they beat the Bills, and then surprised by how crappy they've looked since. I still have this Mike Tomlin and the DNA, and they got tough players, and they've got some good defensive talent. I still feel like they can get it to respectability, but
I'm thinking about it right now. They play the Packers on Sunday, and I'm like, all right, well, Aaron Rodgers is about to lay a whooping on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's Pittsburgh. In the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, still the Steelers, man. They can show up and shock you at any time.
Yeah. But it does look bad. And again, even just the first month of the season in the NFL can often look silly later.
And yet with all this craziness, the Lions are exactly who we thought they were.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness, they're amazing. How about just the L.A. versus L.A. in L.A. Super Bowl scenario?
Yeah. It's on the table. I will admit I have been very impressed by the Chargers. I was not a huge believer in the hype of the Chargers. I thought the hype maybe was a little extreme, and who knows, maybe it will end up being extreme. Justin Herbert looks awfully good first few weeks of the season.
He does. Mike Williams is a problem. They had talent. They had talent last year. They were one of those classic. They're going to regress the other way in a good way because they lost so many close games. Teams, we'll see. But I think the hype's looking more justified than I thought as well on them. There's a lot. I mean, just going through it's perfect for the NFL.
Yeah.
But going through the power rankings that we have to do every week, you get into the middle, right around the fringe of the playoffs, into the low 20s. You got some good football teams. Minnesota Vikings, that's a pretty good football team. I do think the Carolina Panthers, I don't think they're a first-place football team for long, but
defense is good.
Bad.
The defense
they got
travels.
A legit D. Now, you got McCaffrey hurt again, but you get him back, and if Darnold is – I actually need to, find some New York talk radio. If Darnold has a good year and Zach Wilson keeps playing like this, oh, my gosh. But, again, on the Zach Wilson front, well, he's a rookie QB, okay? But on the just Darnold, giving up on him and he goes somewhere, oh, boy. And then Chicago, is he the most fireable head coach right now?
He's going to get fired. He will be fired, and he will not make it through the end of the season.
Like he actually just said, there's 3 guys with a chance to start. He's actually opened up the QB competition now, including Nick Foles.
He's going to be fired.
That's
good stuff.
Astounding.
Don't miss Nashville's best NFL pregame show live from the Corner Pub in Brentwood this Sunday. The NFL pregame show features Jared Stillman, Mark Howard, and former Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders. Join them from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. live at the Corner Pub in Brentwood prior to the Titans taking on the New York Jets. The NFL pregame show is brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, FreedomTireGuys.com, FanDuel, E2 Roofing, Hillside Medical, Social Furniture, and Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. When we come back, we'll be joined by David Ubben from The Athletic. We'll look into all things college football with him. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Titans. Jets. It's time to take care of business in the Big Apple. Tune in Sunday at 9:30 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Brentwood. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score during football season with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including my favorite, team and player props. Log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. One Game Parlay is the fast and easy way to combine your same-game win, total, and prop picks. New to BetMGM? Sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with the bonus code 1025GAME. You can place One Game Parlay bets on pro and college football, baseball, soccer, and more. Go ahead and take your favorite player to score, the home team to cover, and the over in touchdowns. Log in today or download the BetMGM app to try One Game Parlay. New customer offer, paid and free bets. You must be 21 years or older, must be in Tennessee. Visit BetMGM.com for a full list of terms and conditions. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. If your AC or heater is old and inefficient, you can replace it with up to 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. That's right, 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 6 months no interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
Rock Bottom Nashville is Broadway's original brewery, where all brews are brewed on site. Josh Rappaport is Rock Bottom's brewmaster, creating fresh craft beers where peak flavors are always the rule. Grab one of their blockbuster beers to pair with their nachos, pretzel bites, and delicious flatbreads. They even have group catering. They boast one of the best views of downtown Nashville and is a short walk to Titan Stadium. And enjoy happy hour Monday through Friday afternoons from 2 until 6. Rock Bottom Nashville, 111 Broadway.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jared Stillman and Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, give life.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rentalworks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And we are pleased to go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend David Ubben from The Athletic. David, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Not much, guys. I appreciate the invite. It's a fascinating week of college football away.
It has been a fascinating week for sure, and really a fascinating season up until this point, David. If I were to ask you how many elite teams do you think there are right now in college football, what would your answer be? Ohio State's had their bumps. Oklahoma's not looked all that great. Obviously, Clemson, that's another story, and we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But how many elite teams do you think there are right now in college football?
How about 1.5? Alabama and maybe Georgia. We'll find out a little bit more about them this weekend when they host Arkansas. But I mean, it sort of depends, because if you eliminate Alabama from the conversation, you know, while there's quote unquote no elite teams, that second class of, you know, what, probably number 2 to number, I'd say 12 or so, if you cut it off at like Ole Miss, there's a bunch of teams in there that are really good. And, you know, people have been crying for new blood in the playoff, and myself included there, and I think we're going to get it this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually borderline giddy, David, that this season has – I mean, really, it's just been way more interesting than I thought, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, Clemson looks very, very average. You know, Ohio State looks pretty beatable and unfocused at times. Alabama is still Alabama, but they don't look like they're immortal. They don't look like a full NFL team. You know, we'll see what Georgia can offer. You know, Oregon, you know, they've got a good win. Do you trust them to not slip up? I personally don't. I mean, you know, if you're a team like Cincinnati, who's got another huge opportunity this week, you know, playing Notre Dame, you know, this is going to be an interesting year. I'd like to see a G5 team crack the playoff. I think Cincinnati has the blueprint. If they go undefeated, you know, when you look at that lack of elite teams, I mean, if they're sitting there undefeated and they're the only undefeated team other than Alabama, it's hard to see them getting held out.
Yeah, well, on the point of Cincinnati, I love where they are, because I don't think Notre Dame is great, but Notre Dame has found a way. And so that's that. If you get this win this week, that should be very valuable for you, just based on the fact that Notre Dame's figured a way to navigate all this and get to here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, nothing that anybody has seen from Notre Dame, you know, looks that impressive, but they're still 4-0. They're still going to win a bunch of games this year. And that's a pretty big skin on the wall if you're Cincinnati and you get it done. So, you know, this is going to be really interesting. You know, like the door has never been more open than it is right now for a G5 team, or really anybody. You know, maybe that's Ole Miss. We'll find out when they play Alabama this weekend. I mean, for a long time, you know, there was a lot of truth to, well, Clemson's going to be there because nobody in the ACC can beat them. Ohio State's going to be there because nobody in the Big Ten can beat them. And Alabama's Alabama, and you know, there might be another, you know, behemoth team from the SEC that's in there, but, you know, you've got that. But then there's basically one spot up for grabs. Well, this year it feels a lot more like 3 or 4 spots are up for grabs, and I think that's going to be good for the sport.
David Ubben from The Athletic on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And, David, obviously a huge win for Arkansas against A&M, and we're about to find out a lot more about Arkansas playing against Georgia coming up this Saturday, and then Ole Miss the Saturday after that. But my question for you is this: how has Sam Pittman been able to turn things around at Arkansas so quickly to now having them at number 8 in the nation this early on, when that roster was in rough shape when he took over?
Well, it's a handful of things. I think people are, shocked when they see how quickly they flipped it at Arkansas, and that's somewhat fair. But a few things. One, if you look at their total talent composite, Chad Morris didn't win a lot of games, but he recruited pretty well. They're in the 20s in terms of, pure talent. It's not like we're sitting here watching Kansas football go from Kansas to the top 10. It's not the same. It's similar, but it's not the same. It's not the same. So they're in the 20s in the talent aspect of it. Sam Pittman didn't bring with him some miraculous system or some sort of something. They believed in him as a program builder. And part of that is you got to hire good coordinators. And he's got two really good ones in Barry Odom, who's about as good of a defensive coach as there is. Arkansas's defense is really underlooked or overlooked. And then Kendall Browse, obviously, is a guy who, how many versions of Baylor's offense are being, run around the country? I mean, there's not a lot of people running it as well as Arkansas is right now. Ole Miss is probably the only one that's better, but there's probably a dozen or so, maybe less that are slightly less that are running basically that Baylor offense from Art Briles. So you got two really good coordinators there, and I think the biggest thing is, he's tried to fit guys into roles that they can into roles and pieces that they can do. He's not bringing in his sort of rigid system and saying, well, I inherited a really bad situation, so you guys got to be patient and give me 3 or 4 years. We're going to run what we run, and, we got to recruit to it. We got to build around this. Well, it's tough to recruit in Arkansas. He's fit their systems, their schemes, their concepts, their game plans to what they have because he wants to win now. He's not really willing to say, hey, we're going to, be patient and build this thing into what we want. They've really built what they do around what they have, and what they have are really experienced linebackers. They believe in KJ Jefferson. They have incredible receivers, a really deep group there led by Traylon Burks. They have really good running backs. And their line play has been a little bit underrated, and they've added a couple key recruits. They raided the transfer portal for some linemen. And so they're really good on the line. They have really smart linebackers. Jalen Catalon, really underrated safety. And they're a better team, I think, than people realize, which is not really a ringing endorsement of Chad Morris. But I think they knew really early on when Sam Pittman there, hey, we got some players. We just got to build around them. And they've done that. And here, a year and a half, I don't know that anybody expected them to be quite this good, but they're not doing this, with luck or turnovers or this scheme that nobody's seen before. They're beating people up on the lines, and that's really impressive.
So on the topic of your former beat, David, what are your impressions so far of Josh Heupel, the quarterback situation, and frankly, your former beat versus your alma mater Saturday? Very interesting game. And I think it's a really important game for Josh Heupel. Where do you think things are with the Vols right now?
I mean, the talent deficiency kind of showed up on Saturday. They were scheming some good things. I think Hendon Hooker doesn't have the same sort of ceiling as Joe Milton, but he seems to have an ability to operate the offense a little bit more efficiently. And when guys are open, I think Javonte Payton can attest that when guys are open, he seems to be able to connect down the field. And that's kind of a big deal. If you're scheming guys open, that doesn't really do you much if you don't have somebody who can get them the ball. So, ultimately, it felt like the talent gap showed up in the second half there against Florida. Tennessee just doesn't have that much depth. They have some pieces, but across the field, it's a problem, and Florida kind of wore them out there in the second half. That drop pass from Jimmy Callaway obviously hurts. Felt like the game hinged a little bit, but it's also one play. I mean, they were getting dominated for most of that second half. They couldn't get a stop. That was an issue. So, we'll see. I think Missouri will be a really good test for them, a very winnable game. Fairhope Field's not exactly, especially at noon, not exactly the most imposing road atmosphere. This is a team that just lost to Boston College. I mean, if Tennessee plays well, they should be able to win this game. But they're going to need like a B+, A- game, certainly better than they did against Pitt. Connor Bazelak's not as good as Kenny Pickett, but he's really good. And he's a guy that if you are out of position, he's going to pick you apart. And Tennessee, they sort of birthed him last year Sean Robinson,
Yeah.
who now plays safety for Missouri, actually was playing quarterback the first half, and Bazelak played pretty well in the second half against the Vols last year. So this is a very different Missouri team than the Vols really pounded last year.
David Ubben from The Athletic has been our guest here on Robby. Robby and Rexrode does a great job covering college football for The Athletic. David, great stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time to join us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. David Ubben. Man, that guy, he's well-versed in all things college football.
Absolutely. And, topics there. You covered Tennessee, went to Missouri. It's from Arkansas and has actually spent, did a really great piece spending time with that program. That I'll tell you what, Sam Pittman, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And it is, somewhat contrasted right now with the guy he just beat.
It is.
Who, man.
Maybe we'll get another contract extension.
Yeah, I guess so. They hand those out quite easily in that
Life's good
league.
for Jimbo down there.
What's the conversation? I need to find some Texas A&M message boards here.
Tune in to Nashville Sounds Baseball tomorrow night on ESPN 90.9, presented by 312 Pizza Company and Farm Bureau Health Plans. The Sounds are on their final road trip of the season, taking on Indianapolis, the AAA affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. First pitch is at 6:05. We'll come back. We'll continue the conversation on college football as a whole. Got more of your thoughts to get to on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Also have some tickets to give away. That's coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Sunny skies continue this afternoon. High temperature heading up to 85 degrees. Storms move back into the forecast for the second half of the week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of pills? Well, I have breaking news. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most proven form of wave technology available, clinically shown by Cambridge to open up and regrow blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. And to those that call in the next 2 minutes, you'll qualify for an extra treatment free. This is an unheard of value worth hundreds of dollars. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic in the next 2 minutes to qualify for this unprecedented offer. 615-576-5000.
Football is back, and Electronic Express has what you need to make the game bigger than ever. Bring the stadium to you with the best in-home entertainment from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. Watching the game on the go? Save big on laptops, tablets, and headphones. Plus, we have all your appliance needs up to 50% off, and get up to 36 months free financing. We've got you covered this football season at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
The C10 Nationals are here. Friday, October 1st and Saturday, October 2nd at Nashville Superspeedway. The C10 Nationals, one of the largest GM truck shows in the world. Don't miss the autocross, the burnout contest, the dyno, along with vendor midway swap meet, cruise the track, and more. Cap it all off with a huge award ceremony. Spectator tickets are just $20 per day. Trucks can register at the gate day of the event. Visit C10Nationals.com. That's C10Nationals.com for more information.
MTSU football returns to Floyd Stadium October 2nd for the annual Blackout game against the Thundering Herd of Marshall. Kickoff at 6 p.m. The official Blackout ticket t-shirt package on sale now for just $15. Floyd Stadium provides guaranteed fun for fans of all ages with the Blue Raider Beer Garden featuring Steel Barrel Brewery, the Family Fun Zone offering inflatables, carnival games, and an ice cream station. Get tickets at GoBlueRaiders.com/tickets and enter promo code Blackout2021. Go Blue Raiders.
Jared Stillman.
It's kind of a big deal around here. Kind of a big deal in these parts.
And company.
It's not just the trust. It's the way he gets open, and it's the routes that he runs.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Go to theGameNashville.com/deals to check out Nashville's best deals. Current deals include half off on gift cards for Retro Snow, Fat Cat Slim, Central Barbecue, Joyland in East Nashville, and Bad Axe Throwing in Nashville. Get your deal now while they last at theGameNashville.com/deals. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We've got some tickets to give away here on the program. Be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see MTSU football as the Blue Raiders face Marshall at Floyd Stadium coming up this Saturday. You can catch all the action on ESPN 94.9. Coverage begins at 5 and kickoff is at 6. Caller number 3 at 615-737-1025 wins a pair of tickets to see MTSU take on Marshall coming up at Floyd Stadium this Saturday. Thanks to David Ubben for joining us in the last segment, talking all things college football, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Alan from Nashville texting in, regarding Arkansas, there's a reason that Chad Morris is coaching in the high school ranks right now. It's not look great in retrospect from Chad Morris in his time in Arkansas.
Yes, except, I mean, I'm glad David made that point. It's not like Sam Pittman took over just a completely destitute roster either. He's done great things with it, but Chad Morris, that's why he was there, was basically to recruit Texas.
Yep.
Obviously it wasn't up to the full job, but he did bring in some guys.
I got a texter that says, what do y'all think of Kentucky this year? I believe we're going to be good. I don't like that Levis throws a pick every game, though.
Early on, I'm like, uh-oh, watch out for the Wildcats with a guy who can throw the football at quarterback.
It's been a little less impressive the last couple weeks.
Imagine that. Yeah, they've kind of been bogged down. I don't know. I'm very interested to see how that Florida-Kentucky game goes.
This is a great weekend in the SEC.
It is.
It's a great weekend in the SEC.
Across the board.
You've got Ole Miss and Alabama, Arkansas and Georgia, which, by the way, Arkansas and Georgia.
Noon!
The 11 o'clock game coming up.
11 a.m.
On Saturday. The number 8 team in the country, number 2 team in the country.
Yeah, and actually, so Seth Emerson, friend of the show, works for The Athletic, has been writing about this week. Like, why he was even talking about this in the Vandy press box. Like, are they going to still keep this game at noon? But I mean, it's the biggest. They obviously had already picked the Bama Ole Miss, which I wouldn't change that either for this one.
No,
but the noon or the 11 at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. slot. That is a big actual audience, even though it may not feel like the big game, and it goes directly against, of course, the Fox has tried to go hard on the big noon kickoff of the Big Ten game. So that's a good one. It's full. It's chock full.
Auburn, LSU this weekend.
Sure.
Florida, Kentucky. Tennessee, Missouri. I think it's going to be a good game. Vanderbilt, UConn.
Prime time.
It is in prime time.
Prime time.
Yeah. Like the worst game of the SEC slate outside of Vanderbilt, UConn is probably South Carolina, Troy. I mean, Mississippi State, A&M. That's an intriguing game to me.
Yeah, it's someone's going to be mad.
A&M's only a 7-point favorite in that game.
Boy, I mean, they have got so much talent. Boy, I don't know, Jimbo. I don't know, man. I mean, it hasn't been a long period of time.
Well, it just goes back to the contract. Like, look, Jimbo has done a good job there.
Sure.
But he's paid to do a good job
He's paid to win a national championship.
Exactly. So the contract extension just makes no sense to me. He still has like 7 years left on the original deal.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, that has something to do I believe it's been reported. It's sort of like heading off LSU at the pass kind of thing.
I guess.
If Coach O starts circling the drain.
Sure.
But, yeah, it's outrageous.
Eric in
SEC,
Bellevue
baby.
texting in, Catter Day going to turn into a Gator Day. Hashtag Gator Nation.
Ooh,
I will be in Lexington for this, so I'm going to be very hype. And no, it's not going to turn into a Gator bath. Who was that, Gator Tim?
That was Eric in Bellevue.
Well, Eric, you know what? I'm going to just let the football do the talking on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
And I'll report back on Monday with hopefully a win.
Florida
so,
and
the family's going. You guys have tickets all set up?
We don't have tickets yet. We just decided I probably should text an old boss to figure out how to get tickets. My little sister is visiting UK. This is a big day, guys.
Uh-oh. It's a big Catter Day.
It's a big Catter Day.
That's not your typical Catter Day.
Yep,
That's
Florida
awesome.
an 8-point favorite in this game. 8.5. The line's gone up. 8.5-point favorite.
At Kentucky.
Yep.
Interesting.
I bet if that game was 2 weeks ago, the line would be like Florida minus 1.5.
Like 4 or 3, right? Yeah. I don't know, man. It's an intriguing game. It's a big one.
It is a big one.
We know the history of Kentucky and Florida. But let's face it, most of that history was like miles apart in terms of talent. There's a lot of good games.
Concern level if you're a Clemson fan. Is this just a down year, or is this what life looks like without Deshaun Watson and or Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback?
Yeah, like I even saw, we've got a podcast with Staples, and Ari Wasserman. Look, I understand why you go there, and Ari covers recruiting for us, so obviously he's very attuned to that. I don't buy that this is some again, like when Saban lost to Ole Miss a few years ago. The dynasty is
over.
It's wobbling.
We're 6 foot buried and gone.
Yeah, I mean, I even think that this team, I understand that Uiagalelei has not been good.
Nice.
And their offense has not been good. They've been pretty bad. I wouldn't be surprised if, by November, they look a lot more like Clemson this year. But no,
they're not getting into the college football
that.
playoff this year, though.
No.
Dunzo.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It would take an incredible chain of events to even get them into the discussion again. But I don't think it's some big long-term issue. It does hurt to lose a Trevor Lawrence, though.
Yeah, I think we're finding that out. It absolutely does. Well, that does it for us today here on the program. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. I appreciate it. 29 feels
Happy
good.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Darren Donica Chase coming up next. This is ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.